Perfect.
Hello and welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and I'm joined by Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good.
Good to hear. Thanks for showing up this week. We appreciate it.
I was on the fence, but I'm here.
And joining us again is FruehTV. How you doing?
Hey, Bob. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, you joined a very small list of 2 weeks in a row podcast guests. That's the only one I can think of offhand is Crix that's done that before.
Yeah, me and Corpse now.
Yep. Oh, and also, of course, Tank Extraordinaire, Mr. Corpse. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, Bob. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. All right, guys. Well, this is going to be a fun show. We're going to be going over some of the, what we've been doing this week, some of the news. Then we're going to go into our part 2 of Ulduar tips and tricks for hard modes. That'll be Freya, Thorim, Hodir, General Vezax, Yogg-Saron, and Algalon. And yeah, that's going to be.
What did you guys do last week?
We did a few of those. We did a few of
the first half.
The first half, yeah, basically.
Oh, I thought you were saying like those are all the ones we were going to go over today. I was like, what did you?
Those are the ones we're going to go over today. We did up
to Freya?
Well, we did Mimiron too.
Iron Council.
I cheated did Mimiron early for reasons,
Yeah.
All right, well, I do want to thank our tank patrons in Thick Lizzie, Croxford, Braxton, and Turtle Well. Thank you so much for your support. If anybody else wants to support us, it's patreon.com/Warcraft Reloaded, or you could just go to warcraftreloaded.com and all of our links for everything is there. Want to mention we stream live on Twitch, twitch.tv/BlazinBob. That's BLAZZINBOB. I want to encourage you guys. There's a lot of people doing hardcore and stuff coming up here. I want to encourage you guys to go to warcraftreloaded.com/restedxp and use code RELOADED for 5% off at checkout. Get those guides if you want to make it through hardcore. They have specific
the hardcore mode.
Yes, there's a hardcore mode that'll specifically let you know things you could do like to not die. So check it out. It's when I first started using the guide is because of hardcore, and my first death I decided, well, the second time I'll give it a try. I've never went back. I use it everywhere. It's the coolest thing ever. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go through. We got one voicemail. We're going to do that first. The number, if you guys want to send in your own, is 816-866-1066, or you can go to speakpipe.com/Warcraft Reloaded. Please call in. These are super, super fun, and we enjoy them. So please keep calling in. This is new friend of the show. Call it in again.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, everyone on the podcast today. I couldn't figure out how to leave the online voicemail, so calling in again. Kind of wonder how much it costs to call long distance, but whatever. I guess I'm just calling about Prague again. We did get Iron Council. The week I guess must have been the day before I called last time, or the same day. I don't know. It seems like every time I say, we're kind of stuck on this, we get it right after I call in. So maybe it's a good luck charm. Got it again this yesterday, Tuesday, pretty easily this time. Our first kill, we actually ended up having a Warlock somehow tank a hit and get the buff that kills him. So he was doing 100% increased damage or whatever it does. So I think that attributed to our first kill this time. We just managed to kill it right after the first tank death. It wasn't too bad. I think it took like 3 pulls. Then we're started on Mimiron Prog. Gonna go back on Monday and give it a couple hours probably. That one's a pain in the ass because we have some people falling asleep in raid, it seems like, but yeah, maybe we'll get it eventually. I guess you guys are probably doing the same thing, so hopefully you guys can get it. Hopefully we get it. Pretty helpful tips this week on the podcast for hard modes. I think we've gotten most of them, but try.
For some reason, it cuts people off at the end. I don't know why. So you might not want to hang up too fast or whatever. I don't know why it does it, but it seems to do it. Well, no spoilers yet on Mimiron. You're gonna have to wait till our raid prog segment to hear that. If you're watching live, though, you'll actually get to hear it before the raid prog because we haven't recorded the raid prog. So it's another reason to watch live, guys. All right. Do we have any comments on that? Good job. Well done. Happy that you got council down, getting that buff. That's interesting. Do you know that was possible, guys?
Yeah, I mean, that Warlock is extremely lucky.
Right.
Yeah, good on him. I guess that damage increase. New parse method, I guess. Just need to get your Warlocks hit. Yeah.
I think I saw something on Warcraft logs changed like 4 things. Like Hodir, who no longer is in the parse. I think this buff was removed.
No,
like it invalidates your logs if like a DPS gets or something like that.
No, I think that was Thorim.
I think they did that before the tier even released. I want to say they nullified the damage increase from that buff, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, Game Freak in chat says that they'll ban your parse if you do that buff.
Okay. Huh. Yeah, I know that they did a couple of things like the Algalon ads and the mind controlling on Thorim. They just got rid of Hodir, which Hodir was just an RNG fiesta anyway, so probably for the best. But yeah, congrats on your Iron Council kill. I actually have an update for that from last week. I might as well just throw that out there now.
Oh yeah,
talking about it.
Yep, good call.
So last week, I definitely said, hey, just leave Steelbreaker and the Rune in phase 3 and just tank them there. Yeah, don't do that. I did a trial of fire this week. I just kept them in it because I could survive the hits. Turns out the healers and whoever's soaking the static shock debuff, they cannot take that hit. They will die. So keep dragging them out of the Rune in phase 3. But yeah, congrats on your kill, man.
Yeah, but those are the type of things you're like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, we had a healer just instant die, and that's a wipe.
It's a bummer. All right, well, we're gonna move on. First off, we're gonna send you to hear about our raid progression with Yip. All right, we're here with Yip to talk about this week's Varg raid hard mode progression. Welcome to the show, Yip.
Hi, happy to be here. Last week, I made a prediction. Can anyone remember exactly what I predicted? Because I think I was close, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I predicted our course of progression.
I think you said we'd get down Mimiron this week and Algalon 10 next week.
I think I might have said that. All right, well, I was dead on for Mimiron. Because, I mean, not just dead on because of when we're killing it, but like, I believe I said if we just get to phase 3 with everybody alive a couple of times, I think it's gonna die. And that was basically what happened. We cleaned our phase 1 up like insanely, doing the same strategy. We keep them to the middle to the first shock blast, pull them out, and we ended up going from we were having like 3 deaths to napalm on the first phase every single pull our first attempts. This time we're having none, and I think part of that was just like melee being smart and us knowing when napalm comes out and just like waiting a second or spreading out a little more.
Did casters spread out better this week too?
Yeah. I think casters only they clumped up more just for the fires and maybe spread a little bit more beforehand, but we weren't getting those deadly like 9-person napalms.
Oh,
right.
Insta gives people.
We also did something new too. I think the majority of the raid. Excuse me.
You're excused. The
Yeah.
majority of the raid pre-potted fire protection potion. Kim's behest now, but Kim definitely has been adamant about the pre-pop, which is fun to do.
I don't think we actually did it on our kill though.
I honestly don't. I think a couple people might have, but I think we had said let's do a couple pulls without it because I think our first pull or two were like rough enough that it seemed like, yeah, let's get a little more practice before we pop them. I only brought enough to give people like 5.
I had 5, and that was our. So we did do a little progression the night before because we just busted through all the other hard modes and just we had like a good amount of prog time the first night, and then the next night we came. I had 5 potions. We pulled 4 times. I used. We only
pulled 3 times.
Oh well, then maybe there was 2 pulls that I used. Oh no, I still have 1 in my bag. You're right, 3 because. But the second time, when I saw that pot drop off, I just took another fire pot. I was like, I want to live more than I care about 12 seconds of speed. Like, I'm moving around so much anyway. Like, yeah.
Basically, nothing matters more than living. It's just on, for the most part, on like phase 2, you do got to kill it really fast because people end up dying no matter what. So as long as you have enough damage there, I feel like you're kind of safe to flask if you want, or definitely use the fire protection potions.
Did I do okay on damage? I don't even remember if my damage was good on that.
Who knows?
Memron?
One of the issues we had on Tuesday, so we were 5 healing Tuesday, where we have one of our enhanced shaman, because we have 2, go Resto. He's normally our 5th healer. And then we had our feral go Boomkin, and I pointed out that he was doing like 600 DPS or something while kiting the fires for us. So he swapped to healing this time, and I feel like that made a huge difference because 1, he can heal himself, but then there's just so much extra healing coming out in phase 2 and phase 3, having that 6th healer.
It was huge.
I think that was, and on Tuesday I could kind of feel it, like we were very, very close to everything being clean. With just that extra healer, I think makes a huge difference. So even if someone's not normally a druid healer, having them swap to that was insanely nice.
And it probably helped him stay alive.
He's usually out of range of the rest of us, right? Because he's trying to be on the other side with the fire. So it was hard to heal him anyways. And if he dies, it's kind of like,
Yeah. But once we didn't have that many, new tips or tricks. We had our cooldown rotation really solid in phase 2, which was good. We had more than enough cooldowns, probably because we bring 80 paladins. But we were able to overlap some cooldowns, Aura Mastery and Divine Sack, and still have sack up for the whole phase 2. So that made a really big difference. I honestly think the more people do a boss, they just keep getting more and more damage out. They're learning how to deal with the mechanics and do more damage.
That's exactly
it's night
what we
and
do.
day. Yeah, it's totally night and day from how easy it is to push phase 2 the first week we were in there and how it was on our kill. The amount of damage coming out is just so different.
Well, and just knowing we were also, I remember early on, every time I'm doing damage in phase 2 on the body, or as Harscar calls it, the stem, whenever I'm doing damage there, the fire would come and I wouldn't want to bait it out anymore, so I'd run out. But I didn't know for a while that it keeps getting extinguished there, right? So I could have just moved to a different spot, kept doing damage, but I kept moving out which was
that is
the
a good
problem.
point. All the melee were insanely more aggressive of just like avoiding fire and like, okay, you took a tick. It's still better to stay in and do the damage. And I think that did make a really big difference, having people not even worry about the melee fire.
And then all of us, being on the, a lot of the things we changed were tips given in the tips and tricks stuff in last week's episode. Like everyone on assault bots, I think a lot of the time we had a lot of the range still on the head. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
Yeah, the assault bots, honestly, phase 3 is only hard because of the assault bots. Because they'll one-shot anyone they reach. The managing like the fire is so easy because you don't really have to do it. If everyone is stacked up, it gets pulled to one side and then you can just all run to the other side again. And as long as you're staying grouped, we ended up like not having any issues at all as far as managing the fire goes. There are issues with like, okay, the assault bot, while we're running away, an assault bot comes up on the other side. Like those sort of things are annoying to manage. But the fire really doesn't make that phase a ton more difficult. And then you have those little bots that put them out a lot anyway.
Yeah, which we
ended
did
up
put
trying to kill.
Yeah, we put a hunter on those.
Yeah, we put our hunter on them to just get them killed. And I think that also just helps with the assault bots, because there were times where like maybe I would taunt, but then I'm silenced or something like that. It's just harder to manage everything else going on when half the raid's getting silenced by those bots coming out.
And they got a pretty big range too, which is crazy.
Yeah. So, there's no major trick for that phase. Having whoever is like aggroed the head, just like pull him to not fire and then don't throw the magnet while he's moving like I did because it just doesn't do anything. So you can pull him to like
that was crazy.
Yeah.
That was a bummer. Yeah.
Yeah, it stinks. But once you get a lot of, like, we were pretty bad at the head. I feel like even on our kill, like you don't have to be that good. I feel like on phase 2 you have to be really good. You just can't have people dying. Phase 3 is just so much more like
assault bots.
Yeah, you're killing assault bots. You just keep going. Doesn't really matter how long it takes. Just make sure things are dying, and you can like handle it. And if people have mana, I guess would probably be like the biggest issue. And then the last phase, we only got to it once, which is kind of a good sign. If you get to it, I think you have a good shot of killing it. We might have gotten to it a second time where like half the raid's dead, but I mean that's kind of a different thing. We only got to it once with like 20 plus people up. And that was definitely more than enough to get it done. Everything's kind of easier in that phase because a lot of the like insta kill mechanics go away. You just have to run away from shock blast. Like I think maybe the rockets come out still or something, but like you just have to avoid frost bombs. All these things that like are pretty easy to avoid and aren't like reaction time based.
Yeah, like I feel like the body doesn't do near as much AoE damage in that phase. Also, you don't have to deal with plasma blast from the trunk or the base.
Yeah.
And and then you can taunt the head, like, and keep the head pretty much the entire time. Like if it goes off you can taunt it back and like keep the head just on you. That was something I actually learned and utilized last night in our 25-man raid. I just like during phase 3, I just kept taunting the head.
Fab and I usually do that in phase 3.
Yeah, I had no idea.
One we do damage with our taunt, so it's kind of nice to like let it keep flopping back and forth.
Nice.
But like it's not a ton of tank damage, which is super comfy, and then we just pulled straight through the fire. Like I did not pull it in any kind of good way at all. I was like, oh shit, there's fire around, and I just would run with it. And it seemed to work out. We were definitely losing people by the end. Like it was getting a little scary. But yeah, like we had only done that phase for real that one time, and it was still super manageable. So I think as long as you are paying attention and getting somewhere where it's clear from fire, you can do a lot of damage. I think the scariest thing is just like not losing so much range you can't get enough damage on the head. That's just a tough situation to be in. We weren't that bad. I think we killed them like pretty reasonably together. It was funny. This was when Hearthscare was like saying the wrong thing, right? Like Hearthscare. It was so weird.
What was he was saying? Like, kill the base, and we're like,
he meant body.
The base, he meant middle.
He was calling the middle the base. It was really confusing.
I was like, but the middle needs to be hit, not the base. The base is, it was so confusing.
So wait, so Hearthscar was saying like his like nameplates show up kind of weird,
that's correct.
Right?
I think
but don't you look at the like, because I have a thing that pops up with like all three percentages.
Yeah, that's what he was looking at. I think that those are in order of highest to lowest. And instead of looking at...
No, but he was saying like his nameplates.
Yeah,
like,
maybe you're right.
My view was weird, and so my nameplates stack weird.
He might use Plater, and Plater moves them down if they're out of your screen view.
That's what he was saying, is that they like kind of stack them weird. But I was like, but the side thing... I would use a side thing, but
basically, I'm never gonna let him
you do you
down, and
right.
It's just funny because like it's just one of those things that, and I do this. I'm probably like the most guilty of this, where I might just say something obviously wrong, and you can just ignore it, and that's just the mechanic that it really doesn't. It's so it's like you just can ignore it. Like you kill the base more. It's like. No.
Nope.
I totally had just switched to the body, and I was like, okay, I don't know what that meant, but I'm killing the body. Like,
yeah, I mean, we freaking killed it. And then what did we get? The tank cloak for Fab. So that's nice.
We also just destroyed everything on our way there too. Like the first
we were speeding through. Honestly, if we can consistently kill Mimiron, other than Algalon, we could one night Ulduar.
Easy,
sure.
yeah.
Yep.
I think we had an hour. I think we had slightly over an hour of prog on Mimiron on Tuesday.
Yep.
So if you pull everything else, like you're in a really good spot, and that's gonna make. Well, not that I don't love Ulduar, because I'm shocked I'm not like burnt out of Ulduar with how much like we do it. But it will be nice to like free up a little more time with how much we raid.
I was going to tell you, Free is on the show this week. Again, they're doing the second half of Ulduar. It's hilarious. He was like, I need to retract something that I said about Council. In phase 3, you cannot take him in the rune. The tank can survive, but the people taking the what's it called? The people standing out die. And he was like, so my bad, don't do that.
Interesting.
Well, I don't think our tank survived whenever that happened. So.
Yeah.
Well, I think I think what did you would?
Well, I decided no. We just didn't roll any cooldowns.
Yeah. That's why it wasn't because you couldn't have done it.
We were not ready for the amount of damage.
Listen, everything's worth a shot.
Hey, why not?
But yeah, so that's Mimiron. We got our Algalon 25-man key, which feels really good.
Felt really good.
Like. It came kind of quickly. I felt like we were really far away a couple weeks ago, and now we're like almost done. There's only one boss left to kill, and we're done. That's so crazy.
Yep, it is crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Ulduar has definitely had like the best progression of anything out.
Oh, it's been so much fun
so far. It's been fun. It's been like varied, and it takes a while.
Yeah, and I think the hard modes make it fun in a different way, right? Because when you're just stuck on a boss and you can't progress past it, or you can't, do anything else, I feel like it feels a lot worse the longer you're there, right? But knowing that you can like switch it to normal mode and then work on another one, next week or the next day, like it just feels better. I feel like
it feels a lot better.
That fear of just like ruining the whole raid by not being able to get past it. It's like, okay, well, we'll just go to the easy mode after an hour. And
But yeah, we definitely do much better the second day we come back.
Yep. So we had one other piece of progress.
Well, do we want to talk about our Algalon 25 first?
Let's talk about our Algalon 25 first. We didn't learn anything. And it was like basically the same as 10 man. It was a lot of damage. It was like the stars do so much damage on 25 man.
I thought it was significantly easier though, just because of all the extra cooldowns you have.
Yeah, like the biggest challenge of 10 man is just having a good comp to do the bosses.
Yep.
And a 25 man, you're just guaranteed to have like the sacks that you need. You're guaranteed that everyone's going to have their damage buffs, and you're not going to have like a low DPS average. Right. You're comfortable having 2 tanks because it's it's a smaller proportion of the raid. So you have a lot going for you.
We got to like 35% too, so
it was basically.
I think we got it next week.
We basically took what we've learned in 10 man, which no one had killed going into the Algalon progression. But like a lot of us had like beat our head against it, so like we're pretty confident in, right. I don't know. We have
we understood the mechanics better. It wasn't like going into a fight that we had never seen before.
And you still only need like the 1 star caller or star killer who's like controlling everything to make sure things go well. So that's probably the hardest part is someone who like understands the stars, and they're the ones who are like calling everything. Our star killer is actually like calling the sacks and whose sack it should be, which is like pretty insane. But
he was like, "Can I do that?" We're like, I'm sure Yip was like, "Yeah, absolutely. I do not need to do that myself."
I can. Yeah, I'm horrible. If there's a sack order, if I have to like do something, like in Algalon, it's like a very intensive fight. Like there's no chance I'm remembering it's my turn to sack. Like,
dude, I learned a hard lesson.
What's that?
The what's it called? The black holes are bigger than the animation, guys. Don't even get close to it. Like me and like 6 people got sucked in to one. We weren't even like, there was a good person. Like I could have put another one of my characters in between me and the black hole, and it sucked us all in. And I looked around like, did I screw up? Did I get too close? I look around, I'm like, did all of them screw up too? Did they get too close? And then like I'm lazy, so I wasn't gonna go back. But one of our guildies went back, Mira, and clipped it. So we at least got to see that, dude, you could not be even close.
I think it's relative to where the purple portal that's on top of the void zone is. So there's like an additional effect that spawns in that has a much wider range than its appearance. So if that is on the edge of the circle, then it goes way beyond the circle. Because I've been pulled in away from the void, and I've been not pulled in when I'm like in the void. It is so insane.
I was healing and I was like really focused, and I looked up and I was like literally like one of my feet was running through the void zone, and I was like, no, and I didn't go down, and I was like, I'm just not gonna say anything about that. That was weird, but I'm gonna take that as a win.
Chat was like, okay, so kind of need to go in there and kind of wiggle a bit. I was like, should I give it a shimmy? Should I give it a shake? Like,
you just have to walk.
Well, like some of the times I do have to just wiggle a bit, and then it throws me in. But like, you could run right into one and right out and not go in. Like, especially if you have sprint or boots on, like you can run right through it too. If you got boots on and you're like nitro booting, you could just go right over the top of it and not go in. Like it's a little finicky.
Yeah.
That's to me.
Something I brought to Algalon, which I think is really funny, and until I'm proven otherwise, I think this is something we should start doing. I brought a target dummy, so in case the other tank dies, or just as like maybe we can just do this all the time, I wanted to drop it and eat a phase punch.
Where did you hear about that? That is big brain.
I think I might have saw it in the Paladin Discord. I saw some Chinese guild logs where they were doing it, but when there's like a strategy that like only Chinese guild logs show, it's like you can never be like sure what is going on. Like,
you know what? That's I used trading dummies when I do the Mimiron skip. I use a macro that activates the belt and the trading dummies because those mechanical units will get like the big guys will get like one hit off on you and you're done. So like dropping that basically makes sure that they get that. If they don't, the stun doesn't go off in time, they hit that instead of hitting you.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I tried it and it kind of works. I didn't get a phase punch on it, I don't think, ever, but like he definitely hits it, which is cool. And it like really slows down his pace of attack, I feel like, because he's like he's a dual wielder. So he hits you really fast and really hard, and having him like turn to a target dummy was kind of cool.
Right.
So I'll experiment more, but my point is we used it later when things were like going bad in another Algalon in a 10-man. And I was like, if every engineer, which almost everyone is an engineer, had a target dummy, and if like the tank died and Algalon's like 10%, everyone just throws out target dummies and he'll just like ping pong whacking the target dummies while you kill him.
Did you notice that I threw out target dummies on the assault bots also?
No, I didn't.
In our Mimiron kill. Like I tried to talk everybody into getting the belt, but the belt does have diminishing cooldowns, so as long as a few people have it, you're probably good.
Yeah, I have it on mine.
I was just like, I'll throw down the dummy too. I mean, they're kind of expensive, but I was like, fuck it. Why not? Like, we're trying to get this down.
I don't think they're expensive to craft, but they're expensive like
on the auction house, because you got to go get the old mats and stuff.
Yeah, because they're all old mats. But I really can't think of a good reason why you shouldn't throw 25 target dummies down on Algalon. Like,
that would be hilarious.
I'm serious. Please source everyone here. Please.
I'll do it. I'm down.
It just seems like, and maybe it's not just Algalon. Like I have to rethink. Like, is every boss just easier if we just throw 25 target dummies down?
If it's tauntable,
that's
probably.
So, like for Razor Scale Berserk, we just throw 25 target dummies down, and he can be berserked. I don't know. I'm just thinking. Like my mind's going crazy on these target dummies.
It would be.
You
would not end up being able to get threat though on a boss like. Well, no, because you could just taunt it back after they're all gone. Yeah, because it would only work on tauntable bosses.
You can
wait down at once. Don't they all expire at the same time?
I don't know how long they last. I thought they lasted for a while.
They last for a bit. They just only take one hit.
Yeah, they have low health, but I think they last for a little bit. But yeah, maybe we have an order. I'm not. We don't have to do it all at once.
I haven't thought out all this yet.
It does seem to me to be objectively superior to not throwing them on the ground. So
I don't see a downside.
Exactly. So just something to keep in mind. And maybe we only do it when the tank dies or like in dire situations. But dang. But yeah, 25 men was really not that bad. The stars do a lot of damage, but with stacks up, like no one is going to get one shot by anything. As long as people are paying attention the same way they do in 10 man, I think we can get through it. We were getting further than any of our 10 mans had gotten in 25 man. So,
have you guys ever looked at wipefest.gg on parses to see who's really messing up on the mechanics?
Didn't I give you that?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I got it from Chuckle.
I think Mel coded it from the ground up, I thought.
Yeah, 100%. No, because I would have a better score, I think, if I had coded it. It would be like, oh, ignore when Mel does certain things wrong.
It also has wipefest.gg also has like some pretty good and comprehensive boss guides, like written guides.
Yeah, I saw that with little videos.
I'm gonna take its results and run it through Chat GPT. So make fun of everybody with it.
God,
that should be hilarious.
Okay, so that was 25 man. We did an hour of 25 man. I think 35% was like our best attempt, and it was actually pretty early in the night. I think like might have been our first full. But, you know, people were the most fresh then. And it was a nice little surprise, though, to have a full hour to prog Algalon. We had a full hour on our normal raid time.
We were not expecting that.
Yeah, no one. I certainly was not expecting. I was thinking, like, dang, it's going to be sick to, like, finish early and then go to our 10-man Algalon, like, give up on Mimiron after 30 minutes, an hour, and then just, you know, finish up. But no, full hour for Algalon. And then we had our 10-man hit squad. we developed a new hit squad method of killing Algalon, aka we were kind of struggling to get enough people to sign up for 2 full runs of Ulduar. So now we do 1 full run of Ulduar and 1 Algalon only run of Ulduar. That's the plan for now. We did it for 1 week, you know, nothing set in stone, but we're trying to make the numbers work better.
It was Algalon only, but that instance was used by the alt run. The alt run went through and killed mostly normals, and so then it was just only Algalon was left in that dungeon. So it works out to, you know, not waste the whole dungeon, I guess you could say.
Yeah. That's the nice thing is we just stole the lockout of our alt run. And
I think it was hard because we were kind of switching up 10-mans based on people's availability too. So all of our Algalon attempts seemed to have, you know, a varied, like people that had done Algalon, but they were always like a couple different than the last week you did it or something like that, right?
Yeah, we were not going in with the same people every time. And then like my runs was mainly on Fridays and we just never had a druid, or like there was always just something crazy. And then finally we had we couldn't get a shaman for our Friday run or something. So it was time to call it and have like a Thursday Algalon and then some other day Algalon. And then, yes, not everyone will get to go who wants to go. They can go pug it. But for loot competition, it's like roughly the same anyway. Like, do you really even want to go with 3 other people who need something you need
in your guild? Yeah.
I need 3 pieces for my bis from 10-man Algalon. It's so annoying.
Yeah, but you're including like weapons that aren't on Wowhead, so
no. 3 of my like what everyone considers bis.
Oh, nice.
Like the 3 top items. I need dark matter, and
that's good. Do you need the trinket, Mjolnir, runestone, or whatever?
That was off Thorim 10.
Yeah.
That just never drops. But then I need the Band of Lights, which is the ring. And then the other ring that's bis is the one from the like quest that drops. I guess there's like 4. And then then the other one is.
And yet Bob has the highest gear score in our guild.
Yeah, the other one's the gloves.
Probably because he has 252 weapons on. That's the.
I got 1 252 and 1 245. My main hand's 245.
Oh, I thought I saw you with 2 blade twistings on or something.
I only run assassination in 10-man because it's normally better for the comp in 10-man unless we run melee cleave. Then my like crit buff is way better than the 4% the 4% physical buff, and you do quite a bit more damage as assassination. So since I had the daggers, I was like, well, I should do this for when I'm in 10-mans because it'll just make those better. But I'm still full combat for the 25-mans and I plan on being our combat rogue for the whole time. So
nice.
The only reason I got that dagger is because no one else could it really just wasn't good for anybody else.
I know. They just kept coming.
Yeah.
So our super Algalon was made up. We wanted a 2-tank, 2-heal. I've had great success 1 tanking with a DK off tank taunting, but just for like consistency's sake, we decided to use our 2 like main weekday tanks, which is myself and Fabulous. Then we had a prop paladin. The person who had normally been running, like, I would say our stronger Algalon was Seb, and he just asked if he could be in it, and I said okay. And then Mel is like our disc priest, and I think disc priests are very strong.
Well, and
so
also another thing to say about Seb, just to give him a shout out, is anytime I was in his group for Algalon, he was really good about talking about, like, he wanted to talk through it prior.
He's a talker these days. He got a new mic, and he suddenly is like a new personality. Other
people would be in a rush and be like, come on, let's just pull. And he's like, well, we should talk this out before we pull. And I'm like, yeah, we should talk it out. Like, so I just really like that about him.
Yeah, so he definitely did a way better job than Stoof would have done, that's for sure.
Shots fired.
And then Mel, a disc priest. We've done it with other classes, but it feels like having the shields for stars popping just like makes sense.
It's just like having like an extra health buff, right? Like,
yeah. And then, it's nice for the tank to have. It's really just nice. But I will say, like, I think we missed some of the direct healing on the tanks. Like, normally, a lot of the times we're 3 healing. And then one time we had a paladin shaman healing, and I had plenty of heals for and we're also 1 tanking, so they only had to heal 1 person, so like there wasn't like a switch over. But I think that with paladin disc priest, Mel had to be like a lot more careful and like adjust, but after that, like, it was fine.
I would like go to like shield the raid, and I wouldn't pay attention to Yip for a bit or Fab for a bit, and I'd be like, oh god, they're dying so bad. I also think this was the first time we've ever had Seb do the like kite the one things. And so I think he was probably a little bit more like trying to do that, and like for the first time, and trying to heal too. I mean, I think he did a ton of healing. I'm not blaming Seb.
Well, you know what, he was doing, I should have known, because this was happening to Stoof, and then Stoof was like beating herself up about it. Because all you have to do with that is we have a holy paladin just heal and take the constellations. You don't have to move. You don't have to kite them. You don't have to do anything. You just go into a different black hole for Big Bang, and that's it. And then you're good to go. But I think they were trying to do like there is a strategy where you like run them around to try to get them to eat the black holes and they go away. But I think it's just, you just don't do that, and you heal through the damage that they do. That's like kind of how we've been doing it. And then I think that just having that paladin sit there and keep healing, it's so much nicer to we died a lot less.
You guys had a lot of range DPS too.
So let's finish the roster here. We brought an unholy. That was for Army of the Dead in the last phase to tank the mobs that come out. And then he also, I don't think we actually needed him, but I think he does provide like range buffs. I think Unholy is good for spellcasters. And then we brought 2 warlocks, a Ellie shaman, a shadow priest, and a mage. So there was 1 melee, which must have been super nice for Cosmics.
There was one thing missing from that raid.
A rogue. Listen,
oh god!
If you could Army of the Dead, that's basically what it came down to, was what melee are we putting in?
Well, and I knew I wasn't in the 10-man raid, so I was like, all right, I'm going to show them what I could do on this 25-man. And I was top 3 DPS on every attempt. Like, but problem is, Metallica Dad was top 3 too. Who's the DK you took, right? So it's like, well, okay, it didn't really prove shit if you're only taking one.
It's 100% utility based, because not only can you Army of the Dead, if one of the tank dies, he can put on Frost Presence and taunt. It was basically just like, okay.
There's like an oh shit button too.
Yeah, I hope I can get in. I hope I can get in one soon, but
I think we're probably going to switch up a lot of people starting next week. Like, wait a minute, what day is it? Okay, I was like, do I have to put a sign up? I couldn't remember what day it was.
You might get more if you put it up early, though. work out
I
better.
don't believe in that.
You want the people that really want it.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, it really, the kill like wasn't dependent on a lot of the factors. That really the biggest factor was damage and then kind of healing. But even then, like, healing isn't that bad. After going through 25 man, I feel like 10 man healing wasn't that bad. The stars do like half of people's health instead of 80% of people's health. So it's sort of just like, okay, that's manageable. But yeah, I don't think we need a DK. I don't think we need like only casters in order to kill it. You really just need like one strong pull, because we got to 20% and we killed it the one time we got to 20%. It was it felt incredibly easy. I think we had no tank when it died, or was I still alive? I think all the tanks died.
I think
No,
I was alive.
Said...
Oh no, you know what it was? I was going to die because I think he was going to berserk soon, but he ends up ending combat at like 4% or something. I thought he had...
Both of our healers died.
Oh, both of our healers died. That's why I knew I was going to die.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think both of our healers died, but we both soulstone.
Both healers died, so I threw a seal of light, and I had no cooldowns at all, and I just sat there. And then I think I was at like 10% maybe, and I was like, I think maybe we can do it. He's at like 5%. We have a lot of the DPS still alive. And then the fight just ended. It like shocked me how quickly it ended, because he ended at like 4%. I was like, what happened? A chest? An achievement?
We were all like, it's not like we killed it and we were like, yes, we're doing it. No, it was like it got killed and we were like, what?
Yeah,
we did it?
You're like bewildered. Yeah. I thought maybe, honestly, my first thought was we reset it somehow.
Yeah,
I was like,
honestly,
because
so
I was looking at his health.
Oh gosh, look at this. So Seb died at like 3 minutes and 22 seconds. I died at 3 minutes and 42 seconds, I think. Then Fab died. Then I died again. And then Seb died again.
Now tell me if you would have died if there were 10 target dummies on the ground.
See?
Because I'm pretty sure, actually, you did die to the ads. I'm pretty sure the ads were what kills you.
So I died the first time. I died to 3 melees from Unleash Dark Matter.
Yep, that is. Oh wait, those are the under.
That's down in the yeah. I think I went down and I had like no health. And then the second time I died, I was one shot by Unleash Dark Matter.
Oh, maybe you died coming into that last phase then. And maybe you're already dead when we got to 20%. If that's
when was our kill? So we killed him at like 355. And Seb and I died at 350 and 351.
Oh. Okay, so that is the ads then. They're just called the same thing.
Yeah, we had just killed him. Yeah, we had just killed him. Like, we had died prior to that at 322 and 342. So, like, we had both already died.
Yeah.
We both died again, and then we killed him.
Yeah,
it was pretty exciting.
It was exciting.
Like, I watched the whole thing and was like, yeah.
I will say it took us probably 40 minutes, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So I was when you tailor make a group, I was starting to get into the territory of, oh no, we're not gonna kill it with our tailor made group. Mm-hmm. This is gonna be a problem.
Well, and then for me watching, there's so many times I wanted to like make a suggestion, but I'm like, dude, you just need to not talk and clog their comms. Shocked.
I don't think I ended up saying this out loud, but I remember distinctly thinking, wow, Bob is not saying a word.
Yeah, no, I did it like, and the last time I watched your prog when you streamed it for me, I didn't say a word. Like, I try not to clog you guys' comms because you guys are working through it. Like, but
and Skeet hopped in and was like,
right.
Yes, yeah. I think that was somewhere in the like 15 minutes in or something, and then you're like, all right, no more talking. And I was like, see, that's why I don't talk.
I know. Yeah, I was definitely very proud of you. I was like, dang, there's silence in here. Oh yeah, I mean, you only have an hour, so it's pretty wild out there. But that kill made me feel like it was replicable. Before, I was feeling like all of us were only getting through one big bang, and that was like basically where we were stuck. But you just got to go through two big bangs. Like it's not that bad
if you have the right amount of DPS, right? Like you could, in essence, make it to 3 if you like threw a ton of heals in or something.
Yeah, and we might have even like had 3, but I think if you comfortably get through 2 and everyone's alive, because like you don't need everybody, I feel like at 20%. It definitely is a DPS race, but like you can lose, one of the tanks, you can lose one of the healers and probably still be okay.
Right.
But it really felt like once we got that first big bang down to where it was 100% clean, and that second big bang down to where it was sort of clean, we were in a good position to get it down. I felt like we're actually a lot closer in our 10 mans normally than it seems like it. And honestly, I think that the one tank is the clear winner in order to make sure you do get that DPS check made to do the 2 big bangs. Yeah, I don't know what needs to we need to figure out what the formula is to make sure the off tank doesn't die, but Riley never dies. We do it, and we do it a lot. We've done it a lot, and Riley never dies. So I don't know. I can't I have to look back. Is it having a disc priest? Is it having there's probably something going. Is it what cooldowns we're using at that moment in time? But if we can replicate that across the 10-man Algalons, I feel like each of them will have a lot of DPS. You can comfortably 3 heal if you need to, because you're only 1 tanking. I don't know. It's very good.
Yep. But yeah, it was a great week, and looking forward to next.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything else before we head to raid?
Time for raid.
Okay, yep. Tell them where they can find you.
Hi, you can find me at The Yip Show on Twitter and on YouTube and maybe on Twitch. I got a new computer and new internet.
That's awesome. All right, sending back to the regular show.
Introducing a new league for WoW Classic. One life, where death equals delete. Welcome to Hardcore All-Stars, Season 1. Participate in 10 live events for $5,000 in prizes, with 2 ways to compete. Rally your friends for the first Hardcore World Tour. Compete as a team and survive 4 punishing dungeon circuits. Make it to level 60 to enter the final showdown. Or compete solo in dungeon drafts. Make a fresh character. Enter a draft. Be the first to clear the dungeon. And claim victory. The action starts on February 25th, 2023. Click the pinned comment and sign up today. Hardcore All-Stars.
All right, we're back. So what have you guys been doing in WoW this week? Who wants to go?
I guess I can start. So we started up our alt run after finishing Prague a couple weeks ago, and last week was the first week we were in hard modes with our alts on 25 man. So we got Flame Leviathan, Thorim, Freya down, and nearly killed Vezax, got like him to like 3% right near the end of the night, and so we had to do him on normal. After going through the logs afterwards, we realized we didn't bring a Mortal Strike to the raid.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was that, along with a couple other things, each by itself would have been a kill. So it's kind of depressing that we skipped a Vezax, easily killable Vezax because of that.
That is a bummer.
That's a bummer. But now.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Free?
Same old kind of. Did a little bit of fishing, a little bit of cooking on all my tunes. I think I did like 7 or 8 Ulduars, GDKPs. I actually led my first 25-man Ulduar GDKP, and I just took like somewhere between 17 to 20 of my guildies, and it's basically just like picking up a couple of pugs and making it into a GDKP. They were all just alts. The comp was not good. I thought we were going to do better than we did, but I think we only got 4 hard modes and missed out on Hodir by like 2 seconds. Didn't have enough damage for Vezax. Ran out of time for Yogg, so it was kind of disappointing. But next week, I know now. Next week, take more geared players.
Right. A few more carries.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, there's something that us 4 did right after the podcast last week, which was kind of fun. We went into Nax 10 to get Mel's fresh 80 brother some gear. And we brought some people from Varg, and then Corpse came and Free came, but then Free brought a couple people from his guild, one of which was a warrior of epic proportions. Just looking at the log, I think, I don't have the log up, but I think he had 5 or 6 100 parses. And the rest 99 parses, except for like an 80-something on Lotha, because Free totally trolled him.
Nobody gets that spore. That's my spore.
Yep. So, but yeah, it was pretty incredible. And the funniest part of that story is we didn't have a shaman. And he would have had probably all 100 parses if we had just brought a shaman.
Yeah.
Absolutely nutty.
He's crazy. He is a very good warrior.
Corpse, how did you do with all of us crazy weirdos? Was it a good time?
In that Nax?
Yeah.
I've already forgotten. I just remember probably about 2/3 of the way through, after hearing the complaints about no shaman, I offered to go on the shaman, or on my shaman. But I think I still needed like a piece of loot on whatever character I needed from like a couple of the last bosses, so I just stayed on the character I was on.
Yep. Then we did end up bringing in a shaman. Someone had to go. We ended up bringing in a shaman because we were like, well, we're already going. We needed to get the neck for Corpse, who had got the neck on his druid. So we were like, well, we're here where he's turning the quest in. Let's just go do 3 Drake. So brought in a chamois and did 3 Drake. That did take us like, what, 3 tries, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of thinking I could just solo tank the Drake and Sarth with all the new Ulduar gear. They still kind of clap, actually.
Well, we did get it. It was pretty crazy just having that much damage. So it's definitely doable. I was hoping to win the Drake, but I didn't. So that was a bummer. But yeah, and then we did Malagos, which was funny. But yeah, it was a good time to just go back and just like destroy that old raid and just joke around and goof off the whole time, and it was a good time.
Yeah.
Mel pretty much solo healed the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was pretty cool. Yeah, it was pretty fun. Mel, have you done anything else? You been doing anything else?
Just rating.
It's rating. Yep. I'm sure we talked about it in the segment before, but yeah, you got down Algalon last night, 10.
Algalon 10. It was good. It was fun. We were very excited. It was a long night.
Done.
Yeah, it was a cool night because you guys don't know, but anybody listening will know, what we went through last night. But just to let you guys know, we went through and we did kill Memoron on 25 man. We got in there. It took about a half an hour, and we were like, "Oh, okay, he's dead." But I don't know how many people watched you guys' tips and tricks, but I know leadership did because they mentioned a few of the things that were mentioned throughout the episode and stuff. So thank you guys very much for your help on helping us get that down. And we got that monkey off of our back, and then we went into 25-man Algalon. And oh boy, is that a lot easier than 10-man Algalon. Unbelievably.
Yes, it is. So is all that you have left Algalon and Yogg-Saron?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. And I don't even know how excited people really are to do Yogg-Saron. It might be something where we're like, we'll give it a try here or there, but I don't know that anybody really cares. We want to make sure Algalon and everything else is getting dropped before we care about that mount. I would absolutely love the mount, but I'm also probably not the one that's going to get it. So,
So we've killed Yogg-Saron twice now, and both times have had secret whisper G-bids for the mount.
Yeah, we've killed a couple times. It's actually not too bad. There's we can go over it when we go over Yogg.
Right.
But there's definitely a couple things you could do to make that fight a lot easier. For that last phase.
Well, we'll definitely probably look into it, but I don't know. I feel like Algalon, I feel like we drop him next week. I think the two tanks that killed him in 10-man last night are our two main tanks, and they got some really good practice in, and I just think we'll be able to do it next week. It's just it's a few things we just need to clean up, and I think we'll be pretty good. I think we're about to beat Ulduar.
So I believe I watched all of your Algalon progression yesterday. So from what I remember, you got him to 35-40% as your best attempt.
I think so.
That first night. Yeah, I mean that's really good. You're basically at the kill. I think our first night was somewhere around that, maybe 50%, and we killed it pretty easily on our second night.
Yeah, I think our best attempt, which was one of our first attempts actually, I think we got him to 37%, and then we kind of regressed a little bit. But I feel like our guild just does better the second time if we have a good night of prog, right?
Yeah.
If you're
Second day we go in.
If you're anything like my guild, you just got to start the first pull and just go, all right, guys, this is the last pull of the night.
I was just going to say, we just have to pretend it's last pull.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like every time we get stuck on something, that's all you got to do.
Those two words have been magic in classic World of Warcraft now and back in the day. That, okay, guys, last pull. For some reason, something in the human brain, they're oh, okay, I can concentrate for at least one more pull. I can do this. So
I think after you do progression on the same boss so many times, right, you get people that just kind of tune out a little bit and kind of go through the motions, make stupid mistakes. So you tell them last pull and they're like, all right, I'll focus.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, I'm just feeling really good after last night. Mel got done with the Algalon 10 kill, and she was so pumped she wasn't able to go to bed till 4 a.m. So she's been tired all day.
That's great. Yeah, it was wonderful. I mean, we didn't finish until 1 a.m.
Yep. So. But yeah, for me, I've actually got my my new rogue up to level 80 on Wednesday. It's amazing how much those last few levels go. Because I mean, I got on at the start of the day and I was level 77.5, and then I was level 80 by 6 hours later. Like, which is just Ice Crown quests are just crazy fast. And then I did take a couple mage boosts because I didn't want to waste my rest, and I wasn't going to get through it questing. I would have had to kill mobs, so took like an hour break and got 5 boosts, which was like a half of a level, which was nice. I think more than half of a level, like from 79 to 80. But then I really wanted to. There was a regular mode 10-man alt run going on that night with the guild, and I wanted to try and get in that to try and get some gear. And so I got my hit cap taken care of. I bought a bunch of gear off the auction house, and like I was like, I think I should be okay. Like, I thought to myself, assassination rogues, don't really depend on weapons all that much. What I didn't think about is they do depend on attack power a lot to do all of their actual poison damage. So I got in there. And I felt like a jerk because I was doing so little damage. I didn't end up being the lowest overall damage in the raid, but I did very little damage. And so I felt a little bad, but at the same time, I'll be running with that group, helping them out, and now I was, when I started in that run, I was 3K gear score. And then now, as of today, I'm 4,300 gear score. I got 5 pieces from that Ulduar, but then I went ahead and bought Dark Moon card, Surge Needle Ring. I bought the 232 neck that you could get. It's like a BOE from Ulduar. So I crafted I had my boots crafted, the Rogue Bisque boots there, the foot pads. So I should be able to go in and pump pretty hard for them the next week. So hopefully it'll pay off. And the people weren't very vocal about it, but you could tell the mood was like, what the fuck is he doing in here? Like, and I was just like trying really hard to do my best so that, people wouldn't be upset. But I think when it's all said and done, they'll appreciate it because I show up to raids and, I do give it my all. And when I'm pumping, it'll be like, oh, this was a good idea, so I just have to wait and earn that. But I really appreciated the run, and it was a good time. Oh, so yeah, now my new rogue's coming up, and see how he does in Ulduar 25-man G DKPs, because I'll continue doing the 10-man with that group on Wednesdays, but 25-man, I'll be jumping in the GDKPs and see if I can really piss him out like crazy, or if I could just make some gold to be good too. But either way, some more practice on the rogue is good. Still don't know if I'm going to go combat or mutilate. It'll kind of just depend on weapon drops. Like, if I get a really good main hand for combat, I'll switch to combat the next day. If I get a really good dagger, I'll just stay assassination. So it'll just kind of depend. Yeah, that's all I've got. Anybody else got anything else before we move on to the news? Okay, well, let's move on to time for the news. All right, so in the news this week, Blizzard has announced that free character transfer service for EU realms Firemaw and Gehennas will be closing on March 7th. Now, I guess I don't remember them coming out and saying that these were out there. Like, I remember we covered the whole, you could go from benediction to, I think this is just the same version of what we had Faralina and benediction, but on the EU side.
Yes, it is.
They didn't state anything about benediction and Faralina
There was
like closing.
No. They
Oh,
didn't,
that's interesting.
which is really weird, right?
Yeah. Well,
I remember hearing that the faction balance or something, like one of the realms was dying, which is why they closed the EU transfers so quickly.
Someone said something about Firemaw dying.
Okay, maybe it's everyone from Firemaw jumping ship to the
like try to
Gehennas,
jump over
maybe?
to Gehennas and then change race, probably, which isn't happening as far as the numbers we have right now, which is not happening on Benediction Faralina. Like Benediction, actually, there's more. We have like more. Like,
yeah, I think we have like 3,000 more or somewhere around there.
yeah, which is
But I
Which is
know
crazy.
there are a couple of like top end guilds that have decided to make the swap, because I saw a couple of their GDKPs getting taken down because they're transferring, and it's solely just for PvE purposes. They just want better racials. They want to perform higher.
freaking
Or better.
losers.
I mean, it's what they want to do.
I get it. I know.
They're
I'm
playing
just.
the game to parse, and
I
try to
could
the
be.
best, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody knows by him now. I'm usually just joking. Like I'm just.
Yeah.
But still, pussies. I mean,
It didn't actually take off as much as I actually thought it would. We're such a min-max culture now that I thought there would be more people leaving, but it doesn't seem like it was as bad as I thought it would be.
yeah. Well, I've been saying it forever. Like, just make the racials something that you choose. Like, and maybe make a little something to like change back and forth. Like, I don't want them glyphs. I don't want like something else I have to carry in my bag or something I'm expected to change fairly easy. Like make it a quest line, so that like if you want to change, you can, but like it's not, it's encouraged to just stay with one set of them at all times. Make it long enough to where it's like that, and like then just have you could have two of these and two passive or one passive type, one on use type, and one, like there would be a way to do it, and you could just go ahead and let everybody choose what they want, Horde or Alliance side, like lots of them.
Then you'd have
Yeah.
the same two racials for every single
I don't
person. They're
care.
no longer
And
racials.
then you'd have
like,
so many
I
different
was just thinking
types
the
of
same thing.
people. Like
No,
you
that's
wouldn't
just
see
stupid.
all orcs.
It would be just like retail. I didn't play it. I'm not playing the Dragonflight, but Shadowlands. Didn't they have covenants? They all had different stuff, and you could choose what you wanted. But like everybody went the same one.
I think
because-
that covenants though is a very different thing. Like that's a lot of power. Like I don't like it's only the super min maxers that are really freaking out about the racials. Like the super min maxer PvP people and super min maxer PvE people. Like I think racials is a much smaller thing than like the whole borrowed power shit, like, and all that. Like, I don't know. Corpse might have a take on this since he's played like
that
a
is
good deal.
true. Is that the covenants were vastly more powerful than a racial, but it's still along the same lines.
But just think, like, you would actually see Night Elf rogues. Like, you would
they have to
actually
make
see
it-
like people playing the class or the
I don't disagree
race
with you,
that
but
they
it would have
want.
to be done. It would have to be done in a way that like, and I know so Warcraft Logs has like I don't think they deal with Blizzard at all, right? They're their own thing, but it would have to.
Yep.
If it was something that like they could take out of the logs, out of like the parse, kind of like how they do, like Hysteria. They can take the Hysteria damage out.
Yeah, but they can only
If
do
it
that
was
because it's a
something-
flat percent.
Right. So it'd have to be stuff like that. It couldn't be like haste. I think that's what the trolls get, right? And
Yeah.
it couldn't be stuff like that. It'd have to be things that they could take out of.
Yeah, if
out
they
of
could
the,
just take them out, that would be
yeah.
cool too. But it's still, I just still feel like the racials were a mistake to be like, I don't
they
want to
have
put it
flavor.
down. They were a mistake to be as powerful as they are. They are still powerful. I just don't think they're on the lines of like covenants, like and stuff like that. But like it should have been like stuff that was a little more, I don't know. I just feel at this point, like just let people like solve your faction balance a lot easier, because when push comes to shove, the really min-maxers are going to go to the best thing that they can. And then that in turn is going to slowly migrate the more casuals over time. And so I think it'd be kind of cool to do little quest lines to get your, you know, different racials. And most of them I could probably like make a reason lore wise that they're able to have this, like be all kinds of different ways to like, you know, like why, you know, this guy can now use escape artist, you know, because he went and trained with so-and-so and learned how to, you know, how to like, you know, pop his, you know, his shoulder out of socket so he can get out of, you know, a straight jacket. There's just ways to make it all kind of make sense. So I don't see a lore problem.
I think you'd have a better bet just giving Alliance and Horde like the same racials, or like call them something different. Like we have Bloodlust and Heroism, right? Like call them something a little bit different, but they're the same thing. I think
Seal of Blood and Seal of Vengeance, or
you could probably get away with that.
Yeah. I was thinking with what you just said just there, it's like, yeah, I just trained with Houdini and now I can escape out of these chains.
Yep. Yep. Or, you know, or like bark skin. I went and I went and jumped at lava for a whole month, you know, back and forth, and learned how to train my skin to be more like bark. You know, it's just like,
isn't bark skin just a druid thing?
Shadow Meld, right?
Yeah, Shadow Meld's the.
No, I was thinking of bark skin.
Bark skin's not a racial though.
Oh, I was thinking of stone form.
Stone form, yeah.
For dwarves. I was just trying to think of like different ways, and with magic, like there's ways to explain all kinds of the different racials, you know. So it's just like I feel like it would be something spicy and fun to like pick out, and something, you know.
What is my racial?
As human.
Are you human?
You're a human.
Trinket.
Yeah.
Trinket, dude. Trinket.
Yeah.
Trinket's so huge. I use that constantly.
I think extra spirit.
Yeah, it's like 3% extra spirit or something like that. 5%.
Yep. And then also rep. We get like, what is it? 10% extra rep.
Yeah.
Diplomacy or something like that.
Yep. And yeah, it's like, but really the PvP trinket, I mean, that is a freaking unbelievable racial. Like,
yeah,
it's so good.
I very much dislike the human racial. Not for any PvP means or really PvE means. It's more just for those mind control mobs. I really want to kill all my teammates, and they just get out of it. You know, I line it up. I got my Avengers shield, thrown at them. And they survive.
They go for
everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody had a real good time killing me for the start of Ulduar because I just never tried it on those. Like, because I was like, oh, that's probably something you can't trinket, so I just never tried it. Or like maybe I tried it the first time and it was on cooldown and I didn't notice, so I was like, oh, it doesn't work. And then finally I got killed again, and my raid lead was like, Bob, you know you could just trinket out of that. I was like, what? So now I don't die. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. But yeah, so I just wanted to let everybody know that is turning off, and yeah, what's happening to them is what I was afraid was going to happen to Benediction, but it seems like it just hasn't really yet. So we'll have to see. Time will tell.
See some Horde at some points in time on Benediction now.
Well, yeah,
Actually,
but what everybody...
I got the other day.
I
was fishing, and yeah,
Same. I was doing the daily.
Just camping the fishing spots.
The daily in Sholazar. I got this like hunter landed. I was like, it's a horde. And I was like, oh, he's attacking me. Shit.
I've had rogues distracting me while I'm fishing, and I'm just like, oh, yep, here we go.
You're like, I remember this, kind of.
Yeah, I got a fishing pole on and a fishing hat on. Here we go. Let's do it.
Yeah, well,
why
Mel,
not?
I think what people were worried about, Mel, was more like people free transferring than faction changing to the like Horde or Alliance, like PvP people coming over, changing to human, or you know, PvE people moving over to Faralina and changing to Horde, I think is what most people have been worried about. So if they're not planning on closing Benediction Faralina soon, maybe it's not happening there, but that is definitely the fear. Oh, all right, so chat talks about cross faction, and like right now you could actually team up in retail with Horde and Alliance, and I guess what Moobies in chat's saying is that faction guilds are coming to retail. I don't know if that's true. That's what Moobies says, but I could see it definitely doing it. And when they made this change, we actually covered it on the show, even though we don't talk about retail. And people were up in arms about this. And I'm just sitting there going, dude, we've been teaming up with them since the game started to go after the big bad guys. Like there's tons of different, like, what's that really fun cinematic where the orc or human hands the sword over to the other one. And they're like, because they're looking at the big bad. Like, we've been teaming up forever. Like, I don't see, like, yeah, it's World of Warcraft, but it's been, you know,
we only team up when we really, really need them, right? And it's usually just so the Alliance can let the Horde, you know, get killed first. And
it's just,
you know,
it's
smart.
Just, yeah, like, I get it. Like, keep us going against each other in BGs and everything else, but honestly, like, who the hell cares about raids? Because it honestly is just like, I mean, maybe if you have pride in your faction, but we've been teaming up to kill the big bad for the entirety of World of Warcraft. Like, so I don't know.
It does kind of, so I think that the cross rating has been a thing for a while. I'm not very up to date with the retail stuff, but I think cross rating has been available for a while. With the cross guild stuff, that makes me think that, you know, PvP and basically anything that you could do in the game would be cross faction. So I wonder if they're just doing like, you know, how they would have like Alliance teams wearing the mask, Horde mask. Are they doing that in retail? Like, what are they doing in retail for opposing factions when you're all buddy now? I don't know. I don't know.
It's pretty fun to kill your buddies, though. We were doing a Arathi Basin guild pre-made night. We had 2 groups of 5 and we were queuing at the same time. Pretty close to right after that change was made to where you could go Alliance against Alliance, and we got in one. And we weren't on the same team. We were on separate teams, and me and Yip were on separate sides. And we were like, told both of our teams, I just want to kill Yip. I just want to kill Bob. Like, it was unfortunate though, because we had all the healers on Yip's team, which didn't bode well for our team. But either way, you know, from that point on, we made the groups a little bit more even, just in case that happened, because it is fun to go up against each other sometimes. So. Yeah, I don't know how you work that, but I mean, as far as the raids go, I don't get why you can't have both, but the guilds is a little weird, I guess. But
I don't know. I'm not in a position where it would like super benefit me, and I don't care enough about the lore to have like a strong stance against it, but yeah, I don't care.
Corpse.
I got no opinion.
He's like, I don't care.
I haven't touched retail in a year or 2 or 3 or something.
Oh yeah, well I was talking about if it came to Classic. I was putting it in like Classic terms.
Got it. Whatever.
Right.
All I know is our raids would be a lot more messy going forward with torrent shit everywhere. Just be, guys. That was a miss on that joke there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead, Corpse, before I make another bad one.
My main issue in favor of the faction kumbaya has been that often often when one faction is weak, it just stays weak and just people flock away from it. And so it's been happening on retail for however many years now, with Alliance just dying and dying and dying. And so it's really hard to do anything on Alliance.
Right.
Classic doesn't have that problem right now, so I don't really care about it from a Classic perspective. Like, it's not like one faction is dying out on a grand scale. On a game-wide scale, right? Server by server, yeah, there's a problem, but that's a different issue entirely.
Yeah, for sure.
Across all realms, we're looking at 53.9% Horde and 46.1% Alliance. So, God, if that could be on every server, just imagine how cool it would be. Although some people just don't like world PvP, but I don't know why they play on PvP servers. Actually, I do. It's just because they're the more popular ones. But okay, we're not going to get into this. Guys, let's move into...
Bobby, we need to have a talk about this World of Warcraft Classic. Do I look like I know what a WoW token is?
All right, so this week's discussion is going to be the second part of our hard mode tips and tricks for Ulduar. So let's go ahead and start off with Freya. You guys want to start with that? Who wants to go first?
Oh, me. Yeah. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Nope. I have no tips.
I'll take this one. So Freya, it is a fight where she comes in, she's getting healed a lot. You actually can just burn her down, but that you need to have like pretty good DPS for that, like very, very good DPS actually. Otherwise, you're going to be killing 3 sets of ads twice, and then once that's done, then you'll be able to go on to Freya.
And there's no point in damaging her.
Right. So if you're not just like burning her, then yeah, there's no point of going on her. Actually, you shouldn't go on her, especially in the beginning, because you're gonna proc your ICD trinkets, and you'll have less damage for the ads that actually matter. So the 3 sets of ads, you have the tree. We call them the trio. It's a Storm Lasher, the Water Elemental, and the Snap Lasher. The Snap Lasher is the threat pretty much in this pack. It's slowable, it hits very hard, and it has a lot more HP. Typically what most guilds do is they either have a ranged DPS, such as like a Warlock or Hunter, that distracting shots or searing, for Hunter, distracting shot, or for a Warlock, searing pain spam. You could do it that way and then have a Death Knight chains it over and over again, or a Warrior Hamstring, or yeah, those two really. Slow it so that you can kite it around. You can also have your tank get threat on it and then kite it around as well. They are stunnable, all 3 of them, all 3 of the ads. So if you have 3 paladins, you can have all 3 of them stun all 3 ads and have whatever tank you want. Just build as much threat up as possible, and then slowly kite the Snap Lasher around. We use the Frost Death Knight to chains it over and over again. Just make sure it never reaches. Although it probably would be better to do the Warrior Hamstring just for runes versus rage resource. Yeah. Anyway, the Water Elemental and the Storm Lasher, they both have casts. The Water Elemental, if its cast gets through, it'll charge through people and knock them back and do pretty decent damage. And the Storm Lasher will just do like a Chain Lightning that doesn't really do that much damage, but you should still be interrupting both of those. Just put like an Enhanced Shaman and a Death Knight on them. Anyway, so
one thing I will say though, on the the elemental. What's the water elemental? It's called.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's paper.
He's paper. So like whoever you have on him, I would say what I do is I do a focus kick for him, so I could be doing damage on the Storm Lasher and then kick him because he dies just from cleave so fast. And so you're wanting to kill them all at the same time. So if you're just laying into him, like even just white hits is just nuts how fast he goes down. So whoever your kicker is for that, I would encourage a kick that just the macro that just targets that, or a focus kick macro. So
water elemental, no HP, don't need to focus him. Melee we typically have on the Storm Lasher. Once whoever's tanking the Snap Lasher gets decent amount of threat, we can have them swap over to that. We just don't want them pulling threat and instantly dying. But yeah, just keep Snap Lasher slowed. Try to keep them stacked as much as possible, so that way any cleave can hit all three. That'll increase your damage and kill them faster. I will say that if you do accidentally kill one ahead of the other two and it ends up respawning, just completely stop DPS on the other two that are still up, and wait for the respawn. Don't try to race it to kill all three. If you don't think it's going to happen, just stop and let it respawn and then burn it back down.
How long do you have? Like, how much time do you have to kill all three? Like, once one dies?
That's a good question.
12 seconds?
Yeah,
I've never seen one respawn, so I'm not sure.
Yeah,
it's a pretty long amount of time.
Yeah. But yeah, it does give you a pretty big window to actually kill all three. So if you do accidentally kill one and the other two are still low, I definitely can push it.
Right.
Cool.
All right, so that's pretty much it for them. We'll go over the flame or the exploding lashers, I think they're called. Detonating lashers.
Detonating, yeah.
Yeah. So this detonating lashers are actually what causes the most wipes, I think, as far as the packs are concerned. Strategy is just everybody groups up on top of Freya. I heard in a GDKP this week, actually, that if when they spawn, they'll target the farthest person away and aggro onto them. I don't know how true that is, but they definitely all went after a warlock that wasn't grouped up and killed him. They all hit him and he just died. So it might be true, but just everybody group up underneath Freya. Make sure you're watching out for the sunbeams, which I'll go over later. But yeah, you group them all up, you AoE them down. If you're a single target class, such as like a rogue or I guess mages are AoEing. I don't know. If you're rogue, if you're doing single target DPS, just make sure you're tab targeting, you're swapping between targets. You don't want to have one get super low without the other ones also being around the same HP. That's just because while everybody else is AoEing them down equally, the one that you are just messing up will die first. Sorry. So yeah, you're gonna get them all low. You have a bunch of different options based on your raid. If you have a hunter with an entrapment spec, you can put that down. That'll root them in place so that people can run away early. If you have a prot warrior, you can stun them all. Ellie shamans can root them with Earthbind.
Wait, how do I stun them all with a prop ally?
Prot warrior.
Oh,
Pally? Sorry.
But maybe
No, you said prot warrior.
I was like, I'm really bad prot pally.
Anyway, so we burn them down to about 30%, and then we'll start we'll try to use one of those three abilities and start running away from them. Once people get about 10 to 15 yards away, they'll turn around and start AoEing. When the ads start moving towards you, they can go really fast if they don't have a slow on them. So crippling poison is definitely a plus if you have a rogue that can get it up on like a separate weapon or something.
Specifically, I would say combat rogue or separate. If you're a combat rogue, just put it on. Like it'll help throughout other things too. But you can use a shiv macro if you're just wanting to put it on something, just one thing. But
I just bring a third weapon and weapon swap macro to it.
Yeah, that's the best way for an assassination rogue, just because you lose so much damage. But losing deadly isn't all that horrible on a combat rogue. It's a big loss of DPS, but it's not like the loss that changing either of the poisons on an assassination rogue is. Like you basically just turn them. You just cut their damage off when you switch their poisons. So I would say combat rogue would be your first choice for doing that, but the weapon swap is definitely probably the best way for both of them. But I don't know. I just end up putting, like, if I'm combat, just put it on my offhand and don't really worry about it, like, for that fight.
We also do a knockback too. I think we slow them and then or stun them and then do a knockback.
Yep, that's what I was going to go over next. So
okay.
Once they're slowed and they're running, once they get in close to the raid, then we'll have a either Fire Mage, Ellie Shaman, or Boomkin do a knockback, and hopefully they're all dead by then.
And good call from Game Freak in chat. Army of the Dead's pretty good too for that.
Oh yeah, we definitely use an army for every Lasher pack as well.
See, we do the knockback at the beginning, like we. Like slow them, we knock them back, and everybody runs away. I don't think
we stun them, knock them back, and then everybody runs away.
Right, and then I guess if they don't all die, yeah,
it doesn't really matter what you do. Just don't be near the ads when they die, right?
Right.
If you fail, right? If you don't kill them and they all get to your raid, hopefully your raid leader will call out to like basically just stop DPS, because once they're in your raid, you don't want to kill them. That's how you wipe, right? You want to swap to doing single target DPS and then killing them off one by one, and then hopefully your healers are good enough to like suffer through that and heal everybody back up.
Yeah,
you could also going on too. So
you could also any DPS with a taunt could run out, taunt one of them out, try to DPS them down so they're the only ones that take the damage. Like there's basically there's a lot of things individual people can do on their own in those types of situations that can help out the raid quite a bit. So,
yes, I fade. That's my goal.
Yep. I actually looked up the stats for our guild. We have somebody that has that WoW Warcraft logs paid subscription thing to analyze a bunch of data. Anyway. I think we have 3.5 people. We've been going for 8 weeks, right? In Ulduar. 3.5 people per week died to lashers in our raid. Every across all 8 weeks. It is crazy. It is like the most deaths on that fight for us. We're just horrible at lasher packs. Anyway, so that's it for the lashers. Once those all died, then the last pack that we haven't talked about is the giant tree. This is typically where on the first tree you're using personal cooldowns, and on the second tree you're using your heroism. So what it's going to do is a bunch of mushrooms are going to spawn kind of all over the place. Those mushrooms are going to give you a buff, and they're going to prevent you from getting silenced. So just move to a mushroom and keep DPSing. The tree will also give a debuff to everybody. I think it's called Nature's Fury.
Yeah,
if I'm wrong.
Gives it to one person, and that person needs to run out.
Right. So it
or
just
if you're a rogue, cloak
pulse.
it.
Right. It's basically the same thing as like the Searing Light debuff, but it hits a lot harder. So you want to honestly just, if you get that debuff, just no matter what, get away from people. Like if you can get to another mushroom and keep DPSing, that's cool. But if you can't, like it's better for you to not do anything than it is for you to kill anybody else.
Listen, the number of times that I've gotten that and gotten rooted and my mushroom disappears and I can't heal myself, and I'm like, ah!
Yeah. Freya really, she can really wombo combo with all of her abilities. So
that's another tip for all you melee and different things. If you're rooted, you can attack your own root. Just heads up, guys. Yeah, I see melee sitting in there and like not moving. I'm like, dude, attack your own root. What are you doing?
So Freya herself has a couple of abilities that she uses throughout the fight. Ground Tremor, obviously, that's the one that you're desacking. That's going to silence everybody unless Aura Mastery concentration is used, and it's going to do a lot of damage to the entire raid. She also does those roots we talked about. That's going to hit 3 people in the raid, and it does a significant amount of damage, so you need to break those ASAP. And it makes it so you can't dodge other abilities, so they're like really important to kill as soon as possible. And Sunbeams, which I don't know, they're just like AoE light beams that you move out
They're
of.
not good beams. Don't stand in them.
Anyway, so you dealing with all of that, kill the 3 sets of ads twice, and then you'll get on to Freya herself. From there, we didn't talk about the trees. Trees are going to spawn. Kill those. I mean, trees are pretty easy.
What happens if you don't kill a tree?
It heals everything for a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that only happened to us once, but I know there's like always urgency behind killing the trees. I'm a healer, so doesn't really faze me.
Might put up a buff as well. I'm actually not sure.
So, they only heal for 60% of everything alive's health.
Oh.
So actually in our alt run this past week, we got a tree go off on our Bank Conservator phase, and he healed from 5% to 65% because again we were missing the Mortal Strike. So
that'll do it.
It just like the elemental trio from before, the trees take a while to actually trigger, so you can frequently just let them sit and kill the actual damaging ad first.
Yeah, it's also not ideal, but one range DPS, like if you notice it right away, you can actually just solo kill them yourself. I was on my Shadow Priest last night, and I was the only one that noticed the tree grow like way off to the side, and I just killed it by myself and ran back to the group.
Basically, anybody can. If just 3 or 4 range turn to it, like boom, it's dead instantly. So
they can spawn at very horrible moments, though, like during lashers, and
they always spawn on the other side, right? Like we're running towards the door, and it spawns like way at the back, like across the river.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, but it's one of the easier fights for hard mode.
Which is kind of surprising because there is a lot of damage going on in that fight. It's just besides ground tremor, it's all pretty manageable. You can usually doing everything dodge it, or exactly.
Sacking during the tremor is a good idea too.
It's pretty low healing output on an average scale, but it's very bursty.
Yeah.
So once people have the health to survive it with having Ulduar gear, King's commanding shout, it is very easy to survive the bursty moments, and then it becomes pretty easy just as a
because
survive it.
Even if people get really low during the ground tremor, it's typically they're not going to be taking continued damage, so you have some time to like heal everybody back up, right?
Yeah. The last mechanic of the fight is the Freya throws out these little seeds on people, and after about 10 seconds or so, I think they detonate, and they'll throw you around the room and do a bunch of AoE damage. Just use the river, clear the room, use the river, go back and forth. Make sure you're calling out when the seeds go out, because not everybody can see it. But if you do get a seed thrown on you, it messes with your camera, so it's pretty obvious when it happens.
Yeah, you like put you in first person or something. I just remember like The first couple times I was like, whoa, what happened? Yes, that's a seed. And now, whoever gets thrown in first person knows it's a seed.
Yeah, you do want to make sure that if you're using the river, never have anybody on the opposite side. It can go on anybody in the raid. So if somebody throws a seed where you're planning on moving the boss, that's probably not a good thing. So just make sure your group is all crossing the river together.
Make sure to kill people or to kill the roots that get on people before you cross the river.
Yeah, as soon as the seeds go out and somebody calls it out, immediately move, because the roots can spawn at any time. And if you're late on moving and you get rooted next to those seeds, you're dead.
You're sacrificed.
Here's a tip for everybody. I don't care if you're someone who normally doesn't talk in the raid. Everybody should be ready to call out seeds, because if the seed spawns on you, it actually makes it so your camera goes crazy, jacked up into first person mode. So it's extremely easy to see. Oh, sorry. I am, well, but did you say everybody should call it?
No.
Okay, well, that's what I was getting to, because it's pretty extremely hard to see if they don't spawn on you. Like they're green and everything's green, so like, I don't care if you never talk, call it out. If you don't want to use your own voice, make a macro to /yell and then hit that macro. But either way, help with that, because that's going to be the easiest way to see them, is if it actually spawns on you. So if it spawns on all mute people, you can probably wipe.
There.
Oh, you're muted, Free. You're still muted.
I have 2 mute buttons. Yeah, so that's all I have for Freya. So it's, as you said, it's one of the easier hard modes. I think most of the guilds, it's one of the higher percentages on that chart that comes out every week on Reddit. So a lot of these tips are probably pretty well known. There's not much more to go in depth for Freya.
You got anything, Corpse, before we move on?
Nope, everything I'd have to say regarding tips have already been said.
Okay, let's move into Thorim. And Corpse, you want to take this one from the top?
Oh boy. So 2 teams, one in tunnel, one in arena. Once you kill the first arena mobs, you open the gate, you run down the tunnel. Most people send 1 tank, couple of healers on 25 man, that is, and all their range DPS down the tunnel, while the melee, a tank, and some healers stay in the arena. There's in the tunnel, the packs are 1 healer with 2 melee mobs. The melee mobs whirlwind, so that's why you need the whirlwind does quite a significant amount of damage. That's why you bring range to deal with them, because you don't want the people getting hit. First mini boss, you stack in melee range and just kill them. When you're getting to the first mini boss, you need to avoid his one side of the room, the left or right, based on which side he's sending fire down per his fist on the visual. After that door opens, you pull another couple packs up to the second mini boss, kill him, and then you get to Thorim. If you get to Thorim within 3 minutes, hard mode activates, and you get to deal with his wife, in addition to him doing more damage and having more health. And then if you're slower than 3 minutes, it's classified as normal mode. In the arena, it's normally a lot of AoE mobs with a couple of big elites that you want tanked. Normally just AoE them down, interrupt the casters, blah blah. It's pretty easy.
But it's way easier if everybody stands in the middle of the room. You got those couple people running around on the outside. No, don't do that. Specifically for hard mode, it's in the second phase, it is very important that melee and I guess everyone stick with their assigned positions. Generally, on hard mode, the chain lightning that Thorim will do, it bounces and does exponentially increasing damage the more higher number of people it bounces to. So you need to keep
the number of people it bounces to at a minimum. Having just 2 people stacked together is safe. Having a third person will be deadly pretty soon. So generally, people choreograph their fight to have people be in stacks of 2 only, just for chain lightning damage mitigation. So that generally means in the melee stack, you have 2 tanks stacked on top of each other, and 1 pair of melee at the right leg, 1 pair of melee at the left leg, and 1 directly behind, for a total of 8 people in melee. That's 6 melee DPS and 2 tanks. And then the casters are spread around the boss in pairs of 2 as well. Just because the need to stay in groups of 2 for the most part. It's a very melee unfriendly fight. So 6 melee DPS is actually like the safest number you'd be at. It gets quickly more and more deadly as you bring more melee DPS. With Ulduar gear now, it's easy enough to bring slightly more, but you don't want to overdo it.
Yeah. We had so many melee. Our first kill, we had an actual 4 groups, the tank group and the 3 melee groups. And that's extremely hard to pull off because you have to be at max range to be out of range of the lightning. So it's so much harder to do it like that than just to have 2 groups, 1 on each leg.
Yep. So for our first couple kills on Thorim on 25 man, we actually had some of our melee DPS swapped to ranged alts, and we got down to, I think, 6 or 7 melee DPS. And after a while, we had them stay on their melee characters, and I think we probably run with 9 melee DPS now. That's 3 stacks of 3, and it's fine. But that's mainly because we're decked in 232s now, so we have a lot more health to survive that and kill them faster. Where we don't really care if a melee dies early. Other mechanics, there's lightning charges that'll bring in lightning from one side of the room, and 10 seconds later blast a quarter of the room, a quarter pie slice. So you just want people to evacuate the area temporarily. After that burst has gone out, you want people to return to their original positions. For hard mode, his wife that stays in the fight will cast a frostbolt volley that does like 10,000 damage or something to everyone. And she will also frost nova people, which will affect your required movement to avoid the lightning beams. So this quick dispels when people need to move is paramount to having people live. It's also definitely a pretty hard boss from a tank perspective, at least for the early hard mode progressions guilds. He does a unbalancing strike every 15 seconds. It does a massive amount of damage and leaves a debuff that requires you to get or tank swap for it. So you just want eventually you'll want to just start chaining cooldowns to make your tanks live through that burst of damage every 15 seconds. So here's where you chain your Hand of Sags, your Divine Sags, your Shield Walls, your everything to live through that.
And at what point is it, like, at what point do you think it's necessary to start doing that? And I guess it depends on the gear of your tank, right?
Yep. I want to say in 25 man, I start minor cooldowns at maybe like 3-ish stacks. Yeah, so Barkskin, Hand of Salve, a self Hand of Salve that is with the glyph, Hand of Sack are all like pretty minor cooldowns that'll allow you to easily live through the middle stacks, like say stacks 4 to 6 or so, comfortably. After that point, you need to start getting more serious with your cooldowns, talking your shield walls, your divine protections, your multiple cooldowns, like a hand of sack plus a hand of salve on yourself, for example, as a paladin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like last stand plus a sack.
Yep.
Like minor, like smaller plus, the other ones. I do that a lot on Vezax too. Or saving a trinket pop to use in addition. Also for warriors, saving shield wall for those types of things, just in like not shield block. It's like saving those for those types of times that you need a cooldown is a really good call. Like you can get in the habit of just using that on cooldown, and like you really can save that for, say Vezax, like when his big damage is coming out, you call for a sack and you use that. You know what I mean? And that's just like it's huge to be able to do that.
So every so often the boss will gain a stack that increases his damage dealt. And generally the tanks will start dying off and your rage will start dying off in the like 10 to 11 stacks range. So you kind of need to have him dead, Thorim dead before 10 or 11 stacks. So you can just start counting, choreographing which cooldowns you're going to use when. That's what we did. So, using hand of sack from this paladin here, this other hand of sack from this other paladin here, I'm going to use my shield wall here, going to get a pain suppress here. I'm going to intentionally die on this one because I don't have anything and get battle res. All just anything you need to do to make your tanks live, or at least if they're not living, they're just keeping the boss off of the DPS until you can kill him is what you need to do to get your progression kill on him.
I haven't heard about the intentionally dying. It's an interesting one.
Oh, it was great when you were in 213 gear and you just fall over at like 6 stacks.
Well, and there's also, you'll run into a point at least once in the fight where you'll become the taunt immune. And so I try to do it like I start the boss, Mel taunts it once, I taunt it once, she taunts it once. Then when I taunt it back, I just keep it and shield wall along with a trinket or something else for the entirety of the next one. And then she will taunt it back after that. That usually fixes our whole taunt problem, but that can be a big pain in the butt.
I intentionally put a cooldown on like the pretty low number of stacks and just eat the entire debuff intentionally just to reset taunts.
Yep, that's what I do too. All right, well, is there anything else?
One other thing is, given that you kind of need to kill the boss by like 11 or 10 stacks, 2 minutes beforehand is about 4 stacks. And so tanks, if you're looking for an indestructible potion use time, it's probably best at around 4 stacks, just so that the 2 minute duration happens when the boss is doing the most amount of damage.
Gotcha. Oh, you have any
I have a
tips
question.
to throw in here? Oh.
When's the best time to trigger hard mode? Because I feel like no matter what, we always say like, yeah, okay, start it now. And then like a whole new set of mobs comes. Anyone else have that problem?
Yeah, it's happened a couple times for us. Go ahead, Corpse.
I mean, I didn't have anything intelligent to say. Just ideally before the elites spawn. Yeah, the non-elites don't matter. They can be AoE down very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, we've had a couple times where like we go down there and the ads are spawning. That's super annoying. We actually just ignore them and we just cleave them down with the boss. But it's probably best to be like hitting the boss either when they're already out and like at half HP, because you have like somewhere between like 5 to 7 seconds before he actually jumps down when you first touch him. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, ideally you don't have any of the elites up pretty much. I
was just curious if there was a trick, right?
Yeah, not really. Yeah,
it's not that
with
bad.
The people down. Yeah, it's not that bad. Just communicate with the people that are in the arena and hey, can we touch the boss? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Done.
A couple things that I was gonna add on. You guys got the taunt immune. We all play tanks here, so well, everybody but Mel. Well, no, you play the
I play tank now.
In the alt run.
So we all play tanks. So I'm sure we all experience the autoimmune. I do exactly what you guys said. I save Divine Protection for that, and our off tank. We have a Death Knight. He saves Iceborne Fortitude for that. So whoever gets it, we use our cooldown, and then whoever didn't have to use the cooldown gets to use their strong cooldown on just whenever they're tanking. And then for the range DPS, there's like 2 circles. There's like an outer circle, and then I guess there's 3 circles. There's the outer circle, like a middle circle, and then like the melee circle. Range DPS, you want to be like just inside of the outer circle, because the outer circle during the fight is going to be populated with the Blizzard from Sarah, and it's just going to slow you. It doesn't do like crazy amount of damage, but help your healers, because there's chain lightning's going out, the tank's taking a lot of damage every once in a while. But the main thing is you just don't want to get your movement impaired, so you can dodge the lightning towers. And yeah, so if you're just inside that circle, you shouldn't get hit by it, but make sure you're not too close to the melee. Otherwise, you'll get a Satoon chain lightning and everybody will die.
Yes.
And then on top of the tanks dying, we actually just soulstone our tanks. That way you get an extra taunt in case things get bad near the end.
It's not a bad call.
That's a good call too, yeah.
Yeah, as far as healing, it's pretty like tank healing intensive, I would say, but as a disc priest, I just bubble a lot of people all of the time. That is basically my job in every boss, but this one for sure. I know there's lots of times where they ask for like mass dispels and things like that. Listen, you're gonna get that maybe, but probably not. Like, come on. I got a lot going on. I'm usually trying to move. Same time you're trying to move. If you're next to me when we get ice blocked, like frozen to the ground, you're definitely going to get it. So
basically, if you need it, then they're good. But
yeah, 100%. But you're across the room. I'm not watching the screen to see across the room if they're ice blocked. And on my raid frames, right? And on my raid frames, it's like everybody's always got some sort of magic thing that I could dispel off of them. But
just be friends with your shadow priest. Maybe he'll sack his damage so that he can help you. Yeah. There's one more thing I wanted to say. So another option you have, if you have a feral druid who PvPs, if they have enough resilience, they can actually solo tank Thorim, because the debuff, it lowers your defense. But if you have enough resilience, it makes it so you can't be crit as well. That is another option. You can solo tank Thorim using a very geared out feral druid, and the Wowhead feral druid for bear page actually has that set built out, so you can take a look at it.
I actually did this for our first 2 progression kills on Thorim.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's very strong.
So it was like a 800 resilience set. So I was in full deadly, full main set deadly plus the off pieces. Like I didn't have the deadly weapon. But it's kind of just, I took all my PvP gear and I had all of it and just gemmed it for stamina. And walked in and tanked the raid and yelled at the DPS who kept pulling aggro because I had no hitter expertise.
I was just about to say the downside to that is your threat is garbage. So at least it's a taunable boss, but your threat's not going to be that great.
Yeah, so I had the other tank start off like he would tank like the first couple things, but just because it does no damage, and then I would take like the middle section, like say like buffs like 3 to 7 even, just by myself. And then when he took over at like 8, he had all of his cooldowns available for the really hard hitting time of that boss. We could start taunt swapping then, but we both have like tons of cooldowns available.
Yeah, that is actually really smart, because when you taunt, you just go equal to the current target's threat, right? So you're basically just stealing his threat. It's really good.
Awesome. All right, so I think that concludes Thorim.
Two tips and tricks that
perfect.
I remembered. One thing is the pie slice lightning attack. There's one spot in the room that doesn't go on, and that's near the tunnel entrance. So if you want to put particularly immobile casters, particularly holy paladins, because they're such great tank healers, place them at the gate entrance in terms of a position around the boss, and they will never have to move for the lightning slice attack.
Oh, that's awesome.
Listen, as the priest that always does instant cast shields, I'm always in the worst spot, so I'm like a constant like moving. It's like when we do Vezax, I'm like,
One other thing is, so our raid had has three rogues on the raiding roster, and so for our original kills, we had one rogue in each of the melee camps, one left, one right, one behind Thorim. And whenever the pie slice would come and cause the melee to evacuate that area, we just have the rogue stay put and pop feint to survive it. And so since we had 3 stacks of 2 melee each, when one of the melee had to leave, or man, now I have to think how this went. But anyway, we didn't have to.
You would only get a stack of 3.
Yeah,
not
right.
4.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. That's it. It's like you either have 2 stacks of 3 or you have a single stack of 4, both of which are very lethal if the chain lightning goes on that group. So just having a single rogue sit there by himself while the rest of his group abandoned him was actually very helpful for overall raid survivability.
Yeah, I wish I knew how my guild does it, because we have 10 melee DPS, and we have 1 stack of 4 and 2 stacks of 3, and they actually just about never die unless a hunter forgets that we're doing Thorim somehow and he goes into trap weave. But besides that, they all survive every week pretty much. I think they just save defensives, and I think they yell at the priest and make sure bubbles are up.
We have
it's the chain lightning though. If it chains to too many people, that's what kills them, not the
the chain lightning is the problem.
Yeah,
but you can definitely die from the other one. Yeah, from as Corpse calls it, the pizza slice lightning.
Yeah, one of my guildies is actually he must be listening in, but he's messaging me right now. He says we have the rogues and the druid in the back. That's for that's our 4 stack is the rogues and druid because of feint and cloak of shadows, and the druid wants to be in the back for shred, right? So that'll reduce most of the damage back there. I think technically if the druid was the 4th one hit by the chain lightning, I think she would die, but the Death Knights, we have 3 Death Knights, they stay together, and then the Warrior Ret and Enhanced Shaman, I think, stay together. And the Death Knights, I know, have a lot of cooldowns they can use. I think it's the Warrior and Ret and Enhanced Shaman. I mean, the Warrior is really the only one that doesn't really have a cooldown to protect them. The Ret at least has, the Ret could bubble and then the Shaman could Shamanistic Rage, I think it's called. To reduce damage, but I'm sure they just get bubbles by our disc priest and they just sit in it.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, next we're going to move into Hodir.
One thing, chain lightning happens on a fairly predictable timer of 10 seconds. So when a chain lightning goes out, the hunters have 10 seconds to go in, trap weave, get the hell out of there before the next chain lightning. They should not be killing anyone. However, if you're not paying attention to the timer, they will.
Yep.
Anyway, go on.
That's the same. I have to really watch that for when I want to get Killing Spree off.
Killing Spree, yeah.
So, yeah, that was something I just didn't even Killing Spree for the longest time. And then I was finally comfortable and was like, okay, I can do this now.
I think there's a weak aura that watches it.
Well, just the
Thames
normal Thames watches it.
Thames does it? Okay,
yeah.
Tim's does so much, and I'm so confused now.
so much.
And what's Tim's and what's Deadly Boss mods and like what's other things, and I'm just like, I don't know where this is coming from, but something's giving me this timer that tells me this.
It's like, I don't. Yeah, exactly. It's like this could be coming from anything, but I have something here that tells me that something's about to happen.
That's all I care about. It's like on Vezax, like when you say like Shadow Bolt on me or Shadow Crash on me or something, move away. I don't know what does that, but one of our
Thames.
Yeah, it must be Thames.
It might be Tim's or it might be DBM.
I don't know.
Right. I don't know, but whatever it was, one of our party members was not working. So we never got the notification that there was a Shadow Crash coming. And we were trying to figure out, like, what is it? What does he need to update? What do we need to make sure is working? It was bad.
All right. Well, we are moving on to Hodir, and I'm going to pivot us a little bit here because we're gonna change this up a bit because there's no way we're gonna get through on time. We're already getting there. I hard stop in 45 minutes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna assume everybody knows the strategies and how the boss works. We're gonna give just tips and tricks for different things. Okay, so we're gonna pivot there. I did enjoy that, but I think it'll be way too long if we keep doing this. Yeah. Now, Freya was pretty rough because there's just a lot that goes into like everything, even though it's one of the easier fights. There's just a lot to explain, but let's just stick to tips and tricks.
All right. Hodir should be a lot easier. It is, hard mode, you're going for a less than 2 minute fight. So, tips and tricks. Don't lust until most of the people or storm power is out and it's spread out to your casters.
And your fire is,
and you have 25 stacks. Priority number 1 in that fight for all the casters is not the beams. It's to get 25 stacks of Singe debuff on the boss,
which the mage gives out.
Yep,
mages.
Yep, correct. Once it's up to 25, we tell our casters to go find a beam. And we have our hunters keeping the Singe debuff up, and that's explosive shot keeps it up just fine. For storm power,
storm cloud.
Storm cloud. There's a weak aura that I'm not supposed to have. I don't know who made it, and I was told not to share it. But there's a weak aura out there that will mark. You put in the list of names of the people that you want to have the buff, and what it does is it will, if that person doesn't have Stormcloud, it will put a marker on their head, and once somebody gives them Stormcloud, it will take the marker off and put it on somebody else. So basically, you just tell all your melee, hey, just look for a marker on somebody's head, run to them, stand there for a second, run to another marker, just keep bouncing back and forth to the markers. And it'll go away. The marker will go away once they get it, and then once they need it again, it'll come back. That has made Hodir infinitely easier. And I think it was one of the more progressed guilds that were going for world first kind of stuff that made it. And I'm actually kind of surprised that it's not more mainstream right now because hey, everybody's killing Hodir now. So why are you keeping this information from everybody?
It's probably the tech that was used. Someone could look at it, reverse engineer it to use it on later bosses, but you need to send me that.
Yeah, I will. It is awesome. Actually, I've given it to a couple other GDKP guys, and I've told them the same thing. Hey, I'm not supposed to have this, so do me a favor, don't share this around. But I kind of wish that whoever made it would just give it out because it is great. Right? It is the best thing. Trying to think of anything else. Make sure you're A-wing down the ads ASAP because you want to get the buffs up again. And
I could add
Doom Timer.
When you get Stormcloud as a melee, immediately run back and give it to the casters. Just immediately do it. You want to see that thing dropped off in 5 to 6 seconds total. And you do have to stand there for a second to drop, for 1 second to drop it off. Then 1 second, you can drop it off to somebody else. If it's not dropping off, you know that they've got the buff already if you don't have that cool weak aura. But just move and then get back to the boss. Your job is to help the casters in this fight.
Yeah, this fight is definitely carried by the casters. I just mentioned you can do a Doom counter. I'm sure everybody knows that, but basic tip: you could put Doom and Elements and Fairy Fire on all the frozen NPCs before the fight starts, and just have your pull timer set to when Dooms go off. You can move Hodir to like a corner of the room. That way, the ads all kind of group up. That helps so that you can break them out once they get frozen later.
And it has the resulting campfires and the beams closer together as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Pulling the boss. We pull the boss into the middle and then over towards the mage on the right hand side. That seems to work really good for us to like put a lot of the casters in or a lot of the NPCs in cleaving ranges and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whatever you got to do to like. Yeah, I can see that too. Having it by the mage that way, you're getting the campfire near the boss, so people don't have to move around.
We tried to pull it to the corner a few times, and we didn't give it like that many effortful shots. But I think we were having trouble with like the beams stacking like too close together and them being covered in blizzards.
Yeah. We only pull it to the corner for a couple of seconds just to group up the NPCs, and then we drag it. Once the first beam comes out, I rocket boots and position Hodir so that the melee can hit the boss. Because at the beginning, the range shouldn't even be in the beam; they should be stacking Singe. So really, just helping the melee.
Oh, that was our fault. We tried to keep it in the corner, so that's why it didn't work.
I will also, so on the first flash freeze, you need to break out the NPCs to get the buffs back and keep your Singe debuff up. The second flash freeze is happening like right as the hard mode timer is ending. So, I think you have like 10 to 15 seconds after that. So we just ignore breaking the ads out at that point because your Singe debuff has 25 seconds usually. I guess by the time flash freeze is over, it's down to like 20 or so. But there's no real point to break the NPCs out a second time, or I guess a third time at that point.
I think we always have.
What about Corpse? You got anything for us on Hodir?
I have macros that raid marks the useful NPCs, as in the not the priests. So the macros mark the mages as like moon and square. So those are the ones that are like important to break out first.
Yeah, we have one warlock that does that.
Yep. So just break out the NPCs that you see have the raid markers. On 10 man, it is very important that everyone stack the Singe debuff very, very, very fast. It takes a while to stack on 10 men just because there are so few casters in comparison. On 25 man, the Singe debuff is stacked in like 10 or 15 or 20 seconds. It's not long at all. So you can kind of have the casters just go immediately to the beams on 25 men if
and then you have to have somebody keep it up, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we just have the hunter do it because they aren't as affected by haste as other classes. So, and they can use explosive shot, which counts as a magic spell, which will proc the Singe debuff. So they're just the fire babysitters.
Hunters are useful.
Awesome. All right. Well, then if that's it on that, let's move to General Vezax, which I think the hard mode's honestly easier. Is that weird? But go ahead with the tips and tricks you guys got.
Most importantly, Pummel made a YouTube video about how to parse General Vezax as a caster. He just went in and saw what the top DPS for each caster spec do to DPS on General Vezax. It's basically how do you DPS in a low mana environment. I strongly recommend that every single caster go and watch that video.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like hunters are supposed to be volleying in it. I haven't actually watched it, but I went on my hunter and my DPS went way up just by volleying in the Shadow Crash the entire time.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I'm sure there's like probably a mana, like some kind of ratio of like damage per spell while in the Shadow Crash.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know Demo Warlocks, they just want to sit there and Soulfire the entire time. I have one guy in my raid. He destroys all his soul shards, and he Blizzard restores them to his mailbox, and he'll just drop a mailbox next to the Shadow Crash and loot all his soul shards so that he can continuously.
Oh my gosh!
Soulfire the entire fight.
That's crazy.
Yeah. You can go ahead and Corpse if you have any other. This is like my favorite fight actually. A lot of people hate Vezax,
really?
but it is my favorite. I love it.
As a caster or as melee?
Yeah. I play casters, right? Mainly. Well, I take it back. I'm the prop pally for my guild, but in all my GKPs, I play all casters. So I love that fight mainly because I'm always on the top of the meter. Yeah. I have figured out how to take, it's very easy. Shadow Crash comes, you look who it targeted using Thames or whatever, you look for the skull, and make sure you have the boss focused as a caster, because if you are targeting the Animus and you get targeted for Shadow Crash, you won't actually say anything. So you need to have right. So that might be why he wasn't saying anything.
No, it was even before Animus came out. Okay. It was like we were failing early on.
Yeah, so make sure you have Vezax focus target, and that'll make sure that macro or that save bubble keeps popping up. But anyway, it's a very easy fight. Like target somebody, you take 4 steps to the right or left based off of where that guy is to you, and then you go back on it and you just do your rotation. Or as Corp said, go watch that video and figure out what's actually good to use. But for me, usually I'm just doing my normal rotation, and you just do it really, really fast. It's a lot of fun to see those numbers. And then the rest of the time of that fight, if you don't have a Shadow Crash, you're kind of just AFK and hanging out, waiting for one.
You wand.
Yeah, wand, and make sure you don't get a mark of the faceless on you. And then you just wait for the Animus to spawn, and then you do it again, except for the stakes are higher, where if you mess up this time, you just die. So
that's funny that you gave the tip about the soul shard restore, because I just told our warlocks that today and was like, I don't know if this is true, but supposedly you could do that. So it's funny that you just gave that tip.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think for Affliction Warlocks, it's still better than just Drain Soul. But for the Demo Lock, they can have fun.
Yeah. Go ahead.
One
Corpse.
thing I've already forgotten. Damn. Please hold.
Well, I can talk healers. As the Disc Priest, I'm out with the casters, which is so much fun. Listen, this fight for melee or for other healers is like super like you just stand there, right? Like me, I'm like freaking running around with my head cut off, like trying to run away from Shadow Crash. No, just me.
Yeah, they could do some gimmicky stuff with Life Bloom with the Shadow Crashes.
Yeah, I think it's always worked fine with just me, because shield doesn't because standing in the Shadow Crashes reduces the healing that you're outputting, but it also reduces the mana. So for me, if I'm just shielding, then I can shield everybody with reduced mana cost of my shields, which makes it really helpful, but I have to move around a lot. So that's fun. But I did find that, so like for the faceless thing, where you have to like run away from everybody.
Yeah.
Most people like run all the way towards the back, right?
Mm-hmm.
As the Disc Priest, don't do that, because very many times that it will need paints up or something while you're all the way in the back and you can't reach them. So I always run to the left so that I'm out of range of everybody, but still in range of the tank if needed.
Yep, we have our Disc Priest do the exact same thing. The last tip that I think I can think of, I guess, well, two things. It's not really, this one's not really a tip, it's just really important. Melee, he's still, in 25 man, he still casts the thing that you need to interrupt, so make sure you're doing focus macros for kicks.
Damn you.
And keep with your rotation.
That was my only tip for melee.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry.
It's a really easy melee fight.
Yeah, I love the fight so much. The last tip, and it kind of depends on your tanks and how good they are. Don't use Lust right away when the Animus comes up. His threat is probably not going to be great, especially if you have Shadow Crash and you're just dumping your entire kit into it.
Tricks.
The bosses are not tauntable. It will run to you, and then after it kills you, it's going to chain onto the next caster who did the same thing as you, and the tank's going to chase it because he's got to get threat back, or else it's a wipe. It's probably already a wipe at that point.
We barely saved it last night.
Yeah, and then after all that, your melee, who aren't paying attention to anything because they never have to pay attention to anything on that fight besides kicking, are now eating Shadow Crashes and dying. So just if you're a caster, when the Animus comes out, give your tank 5 seconds. Like, it's the fight, it ramps up quickly near the end, but like that's 5 seconds. As long as you're using the Shadow Crashes correctly, you should be good.
We usually bloodlust at 50% on the Animus, and just all the rogues, as soon as the Animus comes out, rogues throw tricks onto the off tank, or whoever's going to tank the Animus, and throw, misdirects on it. Like, give them every little bit of help you can too.
Yeah.
So I remember what I was going to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Warlocks at the start of the fight, after the boss is pulled, you can put your portal down in the back. And then when you get the Mark of the Faceless that requires you to run out, you can just instant teleport to the back.
You have to wait, though, right?
You have to wait until the boss is pulled, and then you put your port down.
Oh.
So only when you're in combat. Yeah, mages, you can blink back, use rocket boots, just get that thing.
They can ice block out of it too, right?
That sounds right, I think.
Yeah, I think they can, because I was really freaked out the first time because they were standing like right in front of me and they got it and they still stood there and I was like, what's happening?
Yep.
I think we usually try to go into Animus with our casters having at least 50% mana. Is that what you guys try to do too?
Yeah, 40, 50, something like that.
Just enough damage to actually, or enough mana to actually kill it. It's as long as you are never casting outside of a Shadow Crash, you should be okay. And I did learn this week. I played my mage for the first time on that fight. I'm trying to just play fire because I played a lot of arcane and I want to learn fire. Mages, just go arcane. That fight sucks for fire mage. You go after like a minute and you're just like, okay, well now I can't do anything for 3 minutes. So just go arcane for that fight.
That tip is in in Pummel's video. Just go arcane. Stop trolling.
Just go arcane.
Just go arcane.
Yeah, I think for me, I try to go in. I usually have about 70 or 80% mana going into Animus phase as a priest, and I think our healers.
I have a tip for you, Mel.
What? Yeah,
I have a tip for you. So
tell me.
I think Yip is probably just as geared as my pally. Yip is probably also running the other spec with the 2/2 spiritual attunement. I think the one that gives him mana back for the damage. I still go I do my full rotation because like the DPS is just they'll pull off me if I'm slacking at all. Don't shield him during that fight. I don't know if you are or not, but don't shield him.
Oh, I am,
because he wants to get hit. He wants that mana back.
Yeah, and whenever I have a pally
then I'll go in with a lot more mana.
I just put tricks into the tanks the entirety of that fight. Like, I'm usually out of range of the warlocks and shadow priests anyway, so I just kind of just try and put tricks in on cooldown on the tank just to help them that little bit more, especially if it's a paladin.
I take that back. You should still shield him
No,
during the.
Nope.
Yeah. Too late. No,
Yeah, that is gone.
When he gets big, I can't remember what Surge of Darkness, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still shield him on that. Yeah.
Okay. I'll be like, hey, Free told me not to shield you. Yep, I'm sorry. I'm just following directions.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was something else I was going to say. Oh, there's a couple things that you can do to get like a little buff to your mana for a short time. Like I know if I cast Hymn of Hope, I think is the mana one. It doesn't restore mana like it usually does, but it'll give you a little extra like intellect, I think, for a short time. I think that's the case.
I know hunters can go Viper to get mana back. That's the only thing that I know about. Hunters can get mana back. They're like the only class that I know of that can like reliably get mana back. Like, you could do the DI trick, I think. I don't know how to do it. I've heard about it, but I don't know.
So basically, if you DI somebody and you click off DI, you can use mana potions for like a couple seconds, or like mana restores as normal in those couple of seconds following the DI cancellation. So you can get Ticks of Enervate, you can get mana potions, you can life tap, you can evocate. So if you really want to go parse hungry, then you get that shit put on you.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work. But yeah, no, I was talking more about where it like increases your intellect for like 3 seconds, right? So you can get a couple heals off. Like if you're completely right? We're not talking like this is gonna help you long run, but you should be fine.
Oh yeah, actually, Nettie brings up a good point for Holy Pallies. You don't need a beacon on that fight. It's just like a waste of mana. And typically you should be holy lighting, but this is one of the few fights that you should just flash the light. And then the prop pally or rep pally should keep up blessing of light. That way you don't have to worry about wasting mana on that.
Nope, beacon's a good tip there. Yeah.
Well, use beacon when the animus comes out. It
depends on if you're using 1 or 2 tanks, I guess.
Yes.
Just use one.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, let's.
It's a solo tank fight. The animus doesn't hit that hard, so it's not too big of a deal to have just one tank that's also taking Vezax to also tank the animus. It gives you an extra DPS spot.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, we should move on, or there's no way we're gonna finish out.
Yep. Let's go ahead and do Yogg-Saron. Tips and tricks. Don't walk through clouds, doofuses.
Yep.
Walk through clouds.
If you're a tank, something I've noticed that I can do just to make it so melee don't focus in on the mobs and get themselves in clouds is I'll basically just. You know how the clouds are always going kind of like in opposite directions. They're down close. Well, as soon as they start, I try to tank the mobs on the other side of Sarah away from the clouds. Then they'll come to where they're just right, on either side. I walk through the clouds at that point and tank the mobs on the other side of Sarah at that point, giving melee like a lot of room to move around the mobs and not get themselves into clouds. That's one little tip I can give.
Yeah, the way I do it is I just follow the close cloud, the one that's like really close to Sarah. I follow that cloud instead of having that cloud follow me, right? That way your melee are on the opposite side of the cloud, and you as a tank, you're the only one that's really close to it. Our guild actually, we touched a lot of clouds just because we have the damage to go burn through that phase. But if you're struggling on Yogg, then it's probably you don't need to touch clouds. They do ramp up and get faster and faster as time goes on. But if you are going for the kill, just let them spawn naturally. And if you have like a person in your raid who just like can't do it, they're DCing, they're struggling, they're lagging, just tell them to chill by the door and wait the phase 2. Yeah.
There was one, it was our weekend raid, and I think there was one pull Or I'm not kidding you. I felt like we had 25 mobs up.
Corpse was like, watching that. He was like, "You guys almost got the achievement."
Like, what is happening? Like, what? Where are these all coming from? And it doesn't help. I feel like when somebody hits a cloud and then they don't move right away, it like shows like 6 messages that they hit like the cloud 6 times, and they're only going to spawn one ad from that. Yeah. But it like freaks you out for a second, right? Yeah. You're like, oh my god, everybody's hitting clouds, and then you're like,
somebody does hit a cloud though. If the second person runs into the cloud, that won't spot another one as well. So you can use that to like kind of, oh, this guy messed up, but take full advantage of his mess up, right?
Right. Like, sucks to be the first one, but I'm gonna go ahead and go over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, the clouds, they're just ridiculous.
I mean, so phase 1, there's 2 like debuffs that go out. One's the fervor, which will increase the damage that you take, and the other one is the blessing, which is just kind of like a dot that I think increases your damage or gives you some kind of beneficial buff. Anyway, if you're melee and you get the fervor, just make sure you're getting out of the getting away from the ads as they blow up, and then keep interrupts going. Other than that, there's not really too much. The only tip is that I can think of, Corpse, is you could spawn more if you could handle it and make the phase go by faster.
Yep.
Yeah. We usually, if nobody hits a cloud, like I, as the tank, do a cloud. When I first walk in, I touch a cloud immediately, and then I'll touch one, after we've killed about 6 of them, maybe 5 of them. Like, and it just makes it super easy. There's still only one up at a time at that point, but usually people touch clouds. And
yeah.
So one time we still had like 1 or 2 ads when the phase ended, right? And we were standing in the middle. And if you're in the middle,
and Yogg comes up, it resets.
And Yogg comes up, it resets completely.
Yeah, I've never done it.
So get out of the middle immediately, like quickly.
You can tell that happened to us once, because every time now, once like the phase ends, it's like, everybody out of the middle, everybody out of the middle.
What are you doing in the middle? Get out of there.
Like, oh my God. So yeah, heads up, don't do that. Any suggestions on how to get through the brain phase quicker, right? Because I think that's where some people struggle. I've literally never been down there.
So be at your portals in advance is one thing. Bring especially magic and disease dispeller. So like one paladin, if you can get them into the brain portal, they can dispel anyone who gets like a random debuff before they go in the portals. That really helps. You can send a balance druid in who can starfall and blow himself up, and also everything else around him. That will
sack the druid before he starfalls.
Yeah, he needs to like pop like Barkskin and a Healthstone, or it's something. I don't know what he does to survive, but he frequently dies.
Yeah. Use your defensives, and if you have a rep pally with you, ask him to sack you.
Yeah. Okay.
Ooh, that too.
Yeah. So basically, all of the ads down there have a damage. What do you call it?
Reflection.
A reflect. And so.
Oh, I was like, does Starfall hurt you? I was so confused.
A tip for rogues: it is magic damage, so cloak keeps you safe from it. It's great in the one room where you go down. There's 3 packs of 3 ads. You run up to the first one, cloak, fan of knives. Oh, it's beautiful. But be careful fanning of knives in that one if you don't have cloak up, because you can kill yourself real fast. You want to be topped before you go down into the ad room. I tend to save boots and sprint. Usually you're not going to one phase on 25 man. You should be doing it if you're a decent gear in 10 man, but I'll use sprint the first time, like from the back of the room after we've killed all the ads. I'll sprint to the brain. I'll use rocket boots the next time. The hardest part for me in that fight is remembering not to use my freaking boots or sprint in like the first the first phase.
Yeah. You want to have it you want to have your boots up so that once all the ads are dead, you can get to the brain as soon as possible. as soon as you touch the brain, it stuns all the ads on the outside, so that helps all your casters.
I think it's after you kill the last ad is when it's
yeah, I think you're right actually. But usually, I think we're two-phasing it without lust now. There used to be, so I think they changed it somewhat recently, where your heroism, if you popped it down there, it would give everybody on the outside the debuff.
Yeah,
and technically you could get it too. You could actually get heroism as long as you were like on top of Yogg, like in the water. So that's what, and I think they changed it so if you pop it down there, you only give it to the people down there, and if you pop it up top, you only give it to people up top.
So I think it's just if you get the heroism buff, you then get the sated. Previously, it was applying sated to everybody, even if they didn't
get the buff or not.
Yes,
even if they were out of range.
I don't think they changed anything about the range. Like if a shaman's up top, they can still pop heroism for the people down below as long as they're like inside of Yogg's body, and likewise, a shaman below can heroism for people up top as long as the people up top are inside of Yogg-Saron's body.
Yeah.
Got it.
It's just if you mess up and one person is out of range for whatever reason, they won't get sated. So you could have a second shaman pop lust for them later.
Which is great for Yogg specifically because you can give it to your melee down in the brain. Then for the last phase, you could give it to your casters, which is as long as you have two shaman. So that's pretty cool, like for actual kill times.
Other tips.
Go ahead.
The Crusher Tentacles, any melee attack will break their channel. The channel channels a 20% damage reduction on the raid. Any Paladin Judgment or Hammer of Wrath will break that channel, to include the Holy Pally's judgments from 40 yards away. So generally what I do as a prop paladin is I'm just sitting right next to the Crusher. As soon as he casts, I'm walking in, pressing Judgment and getting back out. Judgment has a 10-yard range, so it's outside of melee range, but it still interrupts it all the same. There's a damage buff on the Crusher from hitting him. As long as it's low enough, I can go in and actually melee him for a bit to just cancel that channel. Otherwise, I'm just waiting for my Judgment cooldown.
Yeah, okay. So wait, tell me about this, because this is what I need to know on my prop pally.
Okay.
So on the bar, it shows like something's happening, right? And it's gray, and then all of a sudden it turns green or blue or something, right?
So
is that
on the bar? On what?
Yeah,
like on his cast bar.
Oh, okay.
So he has like a cast time before it's actually active. You can't interrupt it until the spell is actually active. So if you see the bar moving, then don't judge. But once it like actually finishes the cast, then you judge and it'll interrupt it.
See, because in my mind, I felt like you had to interrupt him casting it, right? Like, but that's not the case. You have to wait until it's active.
Yep. Okay. Wait for the power up time and then go in and break the channel that follows.
Right.
Okay. And all I can do is judge it and then wait until my judge is up again.
Yes. Hammer of Wrath will also break it, but that's only usable in the last 20%. So don't worry. You can spam taunt on every single tentacle and get the damage buff.
The constrictor tentacles. This is a pretty obvious tip, but you could bop the people that are grabbed, and that'll get rid of the constrictor tentacle.
Double ice block all work. Yep.
All immunities, pretty much physical immunities.
Cloak does not work.
Let's see here. What else? The corruptor tentacles, they're stunnable, so you can stop their casts. So on my prop pally, if there's one near me, I'll just run over there, stun it, run back, judge the Crusher.
On Prop Warrior, it's freaking awesome because you can kick him, you can AoE stun him, you can use your normal stun, you can run back and charge in, you can run back and intercept in. I mean, you literally could just like
lock him
down.
One issue that we actually had last night, that it happened twice in one pool. We were getting the Constrictor and the Crusher in the same spot. So
That sucks,
once,
Bad
once
orange.
you kill the constrictor, the guy drops and then he just gets one tapped by the crusher. So if that happens, that's when to really use your bops. Like just bop that guy, let him get out. We did not do that. We just sacrificed him to the crusher god.
If
That's what roses are for.
you can we did this a lot for our like Yogg-Saron progression, but you can station paladins on different areas of the room, and if someone gets malady feared into a crusher, a well-timed bop will save them to avoid them from dying to the melee attacks from the crusher.
Happened to be last night. I got maladied right into one, and boom, dead.
Yeah.
Listen, has anyone ever just gotten really unlucky? Because this happened to me where I just got like every single thing that random damage thing that could happen to me. I was at like 26 sanity by like the end of the first brain phase. And I'm like, I don't even know what's happening right now.
You're getting every zap, every malady. Yeah, it can happen.
I guess I'm top valley. Like I'm sitting, I'm like, what am I, like, I'm not even going down in the brain. Like I'm literally not doing anything horrible here.
Well, one common misconception, even in the GDQP runs, is people will say, once you get to 40, you can't get targeted by anything. And if you're going anywhere below 40, then you're getting hit by avoidable mechanics. That's not true. Like you can still get zapped. We had our probably he got down to 4 and he was dodging everything. So
I think that's a post nerf mechanic that Sarah won't zap you after you hit 40. So in the pre-nerf Ulduar that we're playing on, that is, you don't get those training wheels. Sorry.
Yeah.
Most unlucky I've gotten is I think I've gotten picked up by a constrictor right where a crusher spawned at the exact same time. So as soon as I got broken out of the constrictor, I got instantly killed by the crusher.
Yeah.
Or you get picked up by a constrictor when you're like linked to somebody on the complete other side of the room, and you're just like, no.
Or you need to get to a portal. Yeah. It's just like, guys, help! I'm on the other side. Speaking of portals and the links, another tip would be if you're linked to somebody and you take a portal, it gets rid of the link. So feel free to like rock a boot away from it sucks to blow your rocket boots to get into a portal because you want to use that to get to the brain faster. But you can rocket boot to your portal real quick, click it, and it'll break the link, and you won't lose any. Well, you'll lose a little bit for however long it takes to get there, but you won't lose a lot, and you'll be in the portal.
I guess last tip for me, please, if you're a healer, turn around during the whole last phase. Like, do not look at Yogg at all, right? And priests don't use penance very often unless absolutely necessary, because that will turn you around. And same with melee. Like, there's a lot of melee losing sanity in the last phase, and they can have their back turned to Yogg the whole time.
Melee, the tip is, if all of the ads are dead, you can turn around if you're skilled enough to not take any loss of sanity. It's like, if you can actually turn.
Have a lot of sanity.
Huh?
I said, or you have a lot of sanity, right?
Yeah.
Don't risk it if you're at 12 sanity.
Like, I'll turn and I'll put a bleed on the boss real quick, or I'll turn and throw like, just a few hits in. But first prio is the ads. Kicking is a big prio, and killing the ads that have the most health is a big prio too. But yeah, that's basically. And if you're a tank taking the ads, take them a little bit outside of Yogg. Don't make the melee constantly get knocked out because they have to go inside of Yogg to hit the ads.
I know, Bob yells at me all the time. Listen, I taunt. I stand where I can.
I mean, kind of basics, but channel spells are great on Yogg when you have to turn around. Tanks, make sure you're actually like looking for the ads because they can spawn anywhere in the room, and they can spawn literally right on top of one of your healers and kill them instantly. So just
one tip for a tank, and this is also a big tip for the first phase too. Say ads spawn, like you're standing, everybody's in the back of the boss in the final stage. say an ad spawns way in the front of the room, let them run almost to your casters before you taunt, and you're going to save yourself a lot of grief. And then also in the beginning phase, let them fully spawn and start to move before you taunt also, because if you taunt as soon as they spawn, part of the time they're not active and you're wasting taunt seconds right there that would have possibly helped you.
When he casts Roar, the one that silences everybody, Aura Mastery and DSAC, because it does AoE damage and it silences. So that's a good time to use those. And then I have some tips and tricks for Yogg-Saron. It's really just phase 3. So there's going to be 3 shadow beacons that go out. You have 3 people that can taunt, and you pull them away from the boss. The real difficulty of Yogg-Saron is the 5 shadow beacon time. For that, all we do is we have our tanks drag all the ads off to the side. We have a feral druid or a warrior come over and get bopped and AoE taunt. While that's going on, we have all our Death Knights run over there real quick and pop all their armies of the dead. We actually use advanced training target dummies. We throw those down away from where Yogg is. And we have the 2 tanks that previously had aggro on all the ads. Book it to the other side of the room, still kind of nearby where they could taunt new ones if they come out in bad spots, where if they might hit a raid number. But once all the armies are ghouls are dead, target dummies are dead, they'll start booking it towards your tanks that had aggro previously, and you could just rocket boots away and burn the boss. So that's how we do Yogg-Saron. As long as you're 2-phasing the brain, it's not really that bad of a fight.
One tip is there's a plater script, so you have to have plater.
Yep.
The plater script that will, for the people taunting the guardians out, that will like make all of the nameplates transparent except the one mob you're supposed to taunt out. So it's a very easy to select which mob you're trying to taunt out in the hell that is all the stacked up mobs.
It's not so bad if you're doing the AoE taunt strat, because you're only doing the 3 beacon.
Yeah.
It's only 4. I think the 5th ad just spawns when the shadow beacon goes live.
Yeah, so we have to do the 3 beacon normally. We did the 5 beacon normally as well, but essentially right after the 5th beacon triggers, as in they start healing, that's when we will do the bop and challenging shout and kite away. So do you have like 5 people taunt them out, or do you just tell your tanks to pull them all out? That's what we're doing. We've had 5 people taunt them out, but like this past week, the Yogg was so low that I just ran out with them.
Yeah.
And so it's like I just ran out with them. I told the Fury Warrior, get ready to challenging shout, and essentially after all the ads were back on me and the other tank, is like I just, like, the Yogg was low enough, I just called, hey, bop the Fury Warrior. Fury Warrior is gonna challenging shout and just rocket boots to the other side of the room. He's going to have his challenging shout fade quickly, so then the mobs will start running back on to me and the other tank. Me as the prop, I literally just press Righteous Defense on the other tank to take his mobs off of him, and then I rocket boots to the other side of the room. So it's just like 20 or 25 seconds or something like that of just the mobs running all around the room just to burn those last couple % off of Yogg.
Nice.
Sounds like chaos.
Yeah, it is kind of chaotic there at the end, but it's a
fun fight.
It's not that difficult, honestly. It takes a little bit of getting right. Like the tank has to get used to it, pretty much.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's all the time we got for today. We're gonna have to end out the show now. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You can follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. If you want to send us an email, send it to wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to interact with the hosts of this show or any show on the Mash Network, go to mash.gg/Discord. If you want to help the podcast out, give us ratings and reviews on iTunes and Spotify. Click the thumbs up and subscribe on YouTube. You can go to patreon.com/Warcraft Reloaded and become a Patreon or a patron. And then, yeah, those are the ways you can help us. You can buy a guide from Rested XP. And you can find everywhere, all of our links, everywhere the podcast is available if you go to warcraftreloaded.com. Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter. I'm Overwatch, or you can find me in game.
Awesome.
That's it.
And Corpse, where can we find you?
Nowhere.
Okay, fair enough. And Free, where can we find you?
I'm on Benediction as well. Just do a /who free FRUEH, or on Twitch at twitch.tv/FreeTV. Also spelled FRUEH. Yeah, I realize that's a weird name. I don't know what to say.
It's no problem. It's no problem. Yeah, I have to spell out my name because I made it before I knew how to spell Blazon. So it's Blazon Bob. So that's why I have to spell it out. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Blazon_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB, or you can find me on Twitch at Blazon Bob. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Thank you very much for checking out Warcraft Reloaded podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content.